Thanks so much for checking out this video. This is going to be my official co-stream of the Nintendo Direct on March the 27th. You're going to want to skip ahead by about 27 minutes if you're watching this later. Usually they don't have copyrighted music. Sometimes when we co-stream these events, we get a lot of muted sections. Nintendo's pretty good about not using copyrighted music. So if you are watching this later, hit the like button, hit subscribe. That way you're here for the live show coverage. We are going to co-stream the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, which is next week. I'm going to end the morning coffee and bring folks over. That's a segment that we do in the morning for members. So we greatly appreciate the people who continue to support the channel with a membership. Maybe you're paying for it. Maybe somebody else has gifted a membership to you. That is a great way to support what I do directly. I do this full time, and we are not a very large channel in the grand scheme of YouTube, and we are basically fan funded if you think about it. We're like one of those channels that does everything on Patreon. And to start things off like an absolute madman is MASH with the 50 bomb, dropping 50 members on the stream to start the day. I'll put the member count right here beneath me. This man's support for the channel is just absurd. It's one of the reasons we've continued to call on folks to upgrade their membership to Member Plus. Hater did a renewal during the show open. Hater, let me know if that was a renewal or an upgrade. I'm going to give you credit right now for the renewal, but anybody who upgrades to Member Plus, we count that as 2. And we really greatly appreciate everybody who supports. I will set a super chat goal as well. Every 5 super chats, I gift a member. I like to pay it forward. I like to give back to those who hang out here. And so your super chats can also go a long way. And we do have a super chat from Super Googly. Says, watching Nintendo Directs is like watching PS2 Retro Showcase. Can't wait. Super Googly, always here doing his super chats. Take a shot at Nintendo. That's his vibe. That's his way. We are hearing that there's going to be some kind of a partner announced game at this event that is going to make a lot of people talk. And obviously, listen, you can call me a troll. It is a little trollish. We're all a little trollish sometimes, but I do have Hollow Knight on the Silksong on the thumbnail. Because, I mean, listen, we all have to put on the clown makeup every time something like this happens in the hopes that Hollow Knight Silksong shows up. So, as you guys are piling in for the morning, go through your typical ritual and smash the like button. Get us to 100 likes. It could be an Xbox port as well. There's obviously some big titles that have still not been announced for for the Nintendo. Tom Warren recently indicated that there are still a lot of titles coming to PS5 and Nintendo. We've only seen like the 2 that have been announced. So good to see names I recognize in the chat getting gifted members. Doc Dark, I don't know if you're here, but always good to see you if you are. I always wonder what's keeping Microsoft from thriving in the console market like Nintendo, since they have bottomless pits of money. I mean, there's a whole history there. Wired Rope with Membered Plus says leveling isn't content. That's right, leveling's not content. That's an old rant that I used to go on about Destiny. Thank you so much, Wired Rope. I don't know, did Hater answer me in the chat? I'm looking to see if he answered me. If it was a renewal or an upgrade, just let me know. If you have to type it again, sorry. I do want to give you credit if it is, in fact, an upgrade. Saw a lot of people that have Silksong on their thumbnails because they recently updated their Steam page. Yes, so I think a lot of us are kind of saying, hey, maybe Silksong is going to be there. I do wonder if Silksong would make more sense to be at the Switch 2 announcement, but hey, we'll see. Could be an Xbox game that's going to PlayStation also. Well, Nintendo would not use a Direct to say anything about a game going to PlayStation. But generally speaking, yes, if a game is getting ported to Nintendo, I would imagine that it's also going to PlayStation, just because that's kind of the posture and the behavior that we have seen. We have seen that from Nintendo. I'm sorry, not Nintendo. We have seen that from Xbox. They seem to want to bring their titles to both. And seeing Indiana Jones and Forza, as top sellers on PlayStation probably really cements the strategy. It's like, yeah, our games are going to do well, really well over there. Bottomless pits of money won't help you if you cut budgets and don't believe in investing in the studios. I'm looking in chat for Hater X if he said anything, and a 5 bomb comes in from Wired Rope. Currently, I owe you guys 10 members, but when it gets to 300, I'm gonna owe you I'm going to owe you 15. So we'll keep a tally there of what members I owe you. So thank you so much. What's good, Ice Queen Gaming? Good to see you. With the licensing recently, most likely Master Chief Collection is coming to the Switch too. Yeah, that could be one. I mean, Grubb seemed to indicate that it would be one that would cause a lot of conversation. So if you guys are enjoying the chat so far, we're kind of yucking it up for the next 20 minutes before the Nintendo Direct starts. Do me a favor and hit that like button. Give us an old thumbs up there. The Oblivion remake. We were pretty much told that the Oblivion remake is going to be April. Announced in April and potentially also shadow drop, so this would be a little early, but I mean, obviously timelines like that can switch around and move, so it's possible. Xbox has been making and releasing good games recently. Definitely can say that for Indiana Jones. Avowed seemed to be a little bit more mixed, but it did score well. I don't know where it is currently with the users. I actually haven't checked on that in a while. That one... Let's see, Avowed on Steam is sitting with a 77. I would say that's fine, you know. I think you kind of want to stay in the 80s, but that's not bad. I would say Indiana Jones was a better. It seemed to land better with the audience and score better and was of better quality. Avowed was a little, in my opinion, it was a little rough around the edges. Performance mode on console especially felt a little bit like a late ad. Didn't feel as polished as I would want to see it. Zero Steel was 16 months. Perfect timing. Funny enough, I'm playing Hades on the Switch right now. Best time to watch the Direct. Zero Steel, thank you for 16 months. Steel, if you're paying for your own membership, you want to bump up to Member Plus. It's only $1 more, but it gets you out of the pool with the gifteds. Right now, gifted members don't get all of the extra content. I give extra content to folks that are paying for their own membership. So we have been charging people and saying, hey, consider upgrading. For $6 a month, you know, it's the cost of a cup of coffee every month. You get a whole extra show pretty much every day. I give about a 7.5. Yeah, I will say that this could be the year that Xbox doesn't just hit cadence, but hits the quality that I want to see from games, both from a perspective of like performance, but just overall enjoyment. So like South of Midnight looks good. I am worried. I saw people who typically sing the praises of Xbox being critical of South of Midnight for being a little clunky, and I picked up on some of the clunkiness in the latest round of footage that we saw from the preview. So I'm hoping that can be sort of polished over and adjusted, you know, at launch or a little after, because I was looking forward to South of Midnight and Doom the Dark Ages and then Outer Worlds 2. So, you know, Avowed was certainly stronger. I think it launched in a stronger state than like Redfall, Starfield, and Forza Motorsport. Like all those games had, to me, pretty significant issues at launch. So I would say Avowed launched at a higher quality. So if you get Avowed, South of Midnight, Doom the Dark Ages, and Outer Worlds 2, I would say that's a very strong year for the Xbox studios. Bethesda and ABK games are part of the roadmap that existed before Xbox buyout. None of those games mentioned are Xbox games. I mean, I understand that. I do. I get that that's... The real true test is going to be seeing games kind of come out after they've been sort of under the ownership for, 4 or 5 years, and we'll see if the concerns I have been, solved about, squashing creativity and the contract policies and stuff. Like some of that you won't really see evidence of, for a couple of years, because the studios kind of have to go through that process. Hyde with 24 months, that's 2 years. Red Badge Club, here I come. I got a new job and more than doubled my salary, so I'll drop a 50 bomb next week to celebrate. Holy mackerel, Hyde. Can't wait today. I'm vacationing in Cabo Verde, and YouTube won't let me. Well, enjoy Cabo, and congratulations. And Hyde, you've supported me for such a long time. It's always fun to celebrate people, getting those new levels in life, dude. Good level up there, man. Congrats, and enjoy the trip. Enjoy celebrating. Be safe. I find that I'm liking Berserker more than Wukong, not graphically, although the cell shading in Berserker is awesome. Just tighter controls, it feels like. Maybe the performance makes it feel better. Of course it makes it feel better. A game that runs, consistently solid at 60 FPS is going to feel as if the camera and the animations and the character moves, the parries, the dodges, it's all going to feel tighter and smoother. It will. The Lies of P developers spoke to this when they spoke to the importance of 60 FPS in games like this. It's incredibly important. And people that try to downplay it, they're either just not being honest or they've never really played a game like that. Like, I genuinely mean it. I don't know how you could play games that demand such precise response time and be like, well, 30 versus 60 doesn't really matter. Oh, indeed it does. So, yeah. They made we were talking about easy modes and stuff in the morning coffee segment, which is a members only live stream segment every morning that you can be a part of if you get a gifted member or you pick up your own. And we were talking about easy mode because First Berserker Kazan pushed out a patch, and it sounds to me like I was pretty spot on in what they do for easy mode in that game. They don't adjust parry windows or dodge windows. You still need to be good at the timing and the dodges, so like you're not going to be able to button mash your way through. The first boss I played intentionally really sloppy because I was like, okay, I want to see just how dumb can you play this game and still win. As far as I could tell, and this is what I kind of told the chat, they basically make you take less damage and you use less stamina. They pushed out a patch today that makes it even less punishing. And we were kind of talking about how I hope that's all they ever do. Because First Berserker Kazan, once you put it on easy, you can't switch it back to normal. And if they started messing with the parry windows and the dodge windows and they made those easier, I think that would fundamentally change the fabric of the game. Making it so like I stay alive a little bit longer, so like I can learn from a mistake. I still feel like you're playing the game within the spirit of how it was designed. A lot of times you get to like a phase 2 and there's new move sets, there's new telegraphs that take you by surprise and then you end up dying. Well, with easy mode, you basically stay alive. But you still have to get the parries and have to get the dodges. You're going to skip the game because it has an easy mode. Just play it on normal. What does it matter to you? They're not actually making the game. They're not changing the game in easy mode. They're just changing damage output and stamina consumption. And Risic with the 10 bomb perfectly lands the plane on 300 members. There it is. We're right back on pace. We should have walked into today with 300. And he's going to do an Agent of Chaos. He says we're not going to sit perfectly on 300. The man himself, Risic, another one of the very generous supporters of this channel. As I said, this channel is essentially fan-funded, man. We are sponsored by you. You guys keep this thing going, and I don't say that lightly. There are a lot of people in the YouTube and content creation space that do not get the level of support that we get here, and I do not take that for granted. I don't even feel entitled to it. I try to give you guys so much content. I really do. The amount of members content we create here is probably too much. It really is. It's competing sometimes with the amount of public content that we make. The Art of Death Stranding 2 on the Beach hardcover book is up for pre-order on Amazon. Oh, nice. And there it is. People don't want a game based on how somebody else can play the game. Yeah, I don't know why you would skip a Souls-like just because it has the easy mode. Just, skip, don't do easy mode. First Berserker Kazan feels fantastic. It really does. The sound design is so crunchy and so crisp. The move sets, the blocks, the parries, the dodges. It is great. Hit the like button, people. Risic with the $5 super chat. First one on the goal. And a 5 bomb comes in from Pathalon Phoenix. Another very, very steady contributor here to this channel. Thank you so much, Pathalon Phoenix. So kind to continue supporting not just the channel, but the other people here who might not be able to afford a membership. Thank you very, very much. It's on par with the romance options discussion. It really feels that way. Just don't do it. We were talking about it this morning as well. I think First Berserker Kazan really shows you that, like, you can't just slap an easy mode in a game like that haphazardly. It is not easy because you could fundamentally change the game. I actually will be pretty disappointed if they make any other adjustments because they don't let you switch off of easy. Like, if they make easy too easy, I would switch it back to normal, but I can't. That's not an option. Once you switch to easy, you are locked into easy. And it affects the trophies you can earn. And I'm like, that's fine. I just want to experience the game, the fights, the story. I love the art style. But if they make it any easier than they've already made it, then I'm going to be a little concerned. I'm going to be like, well, I don't really want to play a game that's that easy, right? You will not button mash your way through first Berserker Kazan. I told people, I said, the reason I wanted to put it on easy and show you guys the easy mode is I wanted you to see it's still not a game for people that just want like a button mash adventure. Like, you're not going to like it if that's what you're looking for, because the game's still going to beat the tar out of you if you're not learning the telegraphs and the timing of the blocks and the parries. You're not going to last long. You're going to die, you know. If you change from normal to easy mid-game as well, you can get any trophies. You have to start from the beginning in easy mode. I mean, what's weird is you could play the whole game on normal SDO, and then at the very end, let's say you get kind of burned by whatever the boss is doing and you switch it to easy, you'd have all the trophies up to that point from doing it at normal. You know, like, you'd have all those trophies. You don't see GTA likes being a thing anymore, and Witcher 3 is a better story game than mechanic-wise? What are you even talking about? You don't see GTA likes being a thing anymore? I just don't attribute accomplishment in gaming to anything outside of PvP personally, says MASH. If you can hit top in an esport, then I consider that a substantial accomplishment, but to each their own. Yeah, I mean, I've heard the argument stated, I believe people attributed this to Asmongold, that if it's designed for you to beat it, it's not something to get really egotistical about, right? Like beating another person in PvP or being like a god tier player in a certain PvP game, you know, you're playing against other players that are also trying to win. And when you go into a boss in a game like that, whether it's Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Sekiro, or the like, it's designed for you to beat it, right? It's designed for you to beat it. Even Ishin at the end of Sekiro, it's like, I usually use that to show, like, listen, I can play games like this. It's a lot, and this is how I've kind of described it recently. That there's this giant chasm in games like that, where you go from being sort of confused and frustrated by the fight, you don't quite understand it yet, to then you learn everything, you know the telegraphs, you know the attack patterns, and now you're sort of in the flow state of, you know what you need to change and do, you know what mistakes you're making, right? The journey from you know, beginning to victory, the journey a lot of the times I don't enjoy it if it just gets too elongated, right? If I have to fight a boss 10 times or less, I'm good with that. If that's what I know what I'm signing up for, I'm good with that. Once I get beyond 10, once I get beyond that initial double digit of 10, and you get into like the 15 and 20 range, I don't want to do that. That's just not what I'm not made that way. I'm not wired that way. My impatience kicks in and my enjoyment goes down. That's just for me personally. I know there are people who absolutely love that. They love, I used to play Call of Duty with a guy, and he used to try to get me to play Dark Souls. And he said, you can't really replicate the feeling of beating your head against a wall 20 and 30 times and then finally beating the boss. And I'm like, I know that feeling is incredibly potent. I do. But as potent as it feels, I don't enjoy the journey to get there. I know getting to the top of some mountain, like if I climbed like one of the local mountains that are here, I know once you're up there, the feeling and the view is exceptional. The journey to get up there is not something I want to do. I don't have the shoes for it. My feet would get blisters. My back would hurt. My legs would hurt. I'd be out of breath because, you know, I'm not in shape. So the journey to get up there, it wouldn't be worth it. That's all I'd remember. You know? I'd be like, I don't ever want to do that again. That's kind of how I feel now with games like that. I'm just like, I don't enjoy the journey. I don't. There are people that love the journey. They love breaking the fight down. They love studying the telegraphs, right? They love that element of, you know, problem solving and deduction and, you know, skill expression. Like, they thoroughly enjoy it. I just don't. I'm like, dude, I'm freaking annoyed. Just, you know, I want to look cool and feel cool. You know what I mean? And that doesn't look cool and feel cool to me. Yeah, it's the friends. It's the friends we made along the way. That's right. Am I excited for Death Stranding 2? I am excited for Death Stranding 2. It's the reason that I went back and gave Death Stranding 1 another try, because I think Death Stranding 2 is probably the front runner for Game of the Year right now, based on everything we've seen. We'll have details about the return of the physical magazine of Game Informer soon, but in the meantime, sign up for a free account and you'll get immediate access to our digital archive of the last 130 issues of the magazine, the option to use dark modes on the site, and more. That's awesome that they're doing that. It is. And Joker Quinn gifts a member. Good vibes, Joker Quinn, to your lady getting that knee surgery today. Hopefully it's not too bad. Sign up for dark mode. That's right. Somebody said something. Any specific games you might be hyped for? I don't really know what the latest in the industry these days. For the Switch, for the Switch, I don't know much about until the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is probably going to have more games that I'm interested in. How can you say I don't enjoy the journey? That's what Death Stranding is. It's about the journey. No. I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. I'm talking about like Dark Souls games. Super, super punishing Souls games. Or, games where it's designed for you to fight a boss 20 times and die. I don't enjoy the journey to victory in that particular game. I wasn't talking about Death Stranding. Yo, Charles Hawk with a gifted member. That gets us to 308. Thank you so much, Charles Hawk. Continuing to chisel away at the weekly goal for a Friday night stream. You guys can tune in every Friday night and hang out with my wife and I. We usually hang out with you guys and talk and chat, and then we play a game or something. And that's something you guys typically unlock every single week. RPG journey and a Dark Souls journey are night and day difference. Yeah, Berserker is punishing me at the moment for sure. That boss, I think that boss that you fight, like when you're like in that big room with the water on the ground, I think it's meant to be a skill check. It's like if you can get past him, you're like, okay, then I understand how to play this game. Like if you can learn his attack patterns and either block, parry, or dodge and survive, they're kind of getting you ready. They're like, this is an intense game. This isn't going to be a walk in the park, right? I see tons of Viper topics on the forums. Viper? Huh? Guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure and smash that like button. Thanks for a nice, strong turnout. The show is going to begin in about 5 minutes, so buckle up. There's supposedly going to be something today that's going to have a pretty big conversation piece attached to it, is what we've been told by Jeff Grubb. It's a tough boss in Kazan. Okay, Viper's a boss you haven't gotten to yet. Okay. Was the Viper boss in the beta or the demo? I got pretty far in the beta because we got down into some area where the game glitched out and I couldn't heal, and I thought it was a mechanic of the area. I thought, oh, you can't heal in this area. And then I got pretty far in it, and I finally beat this boss. It was like a mini boss. I finally beat him, and then I got to the next area, and I'm like, there's no way they expect me to get through this area without healing. There's just no way. And then I reset the game, and it fixed the bug. I was like, man, this is tough. Louder for the people in the back, Rahul. Oh, is that the guy from Saros chiming in? He's probably saying the same thing I said yesterday. They never said it was going to be historically accurate. When Ubisoft talk about historical accuracy, they're talking about locations, technology, fashion. They're not specifically talking about the characters that you play as or interact with during the story. I thought that was obvious, because that would be effing stupid to claim, expect, or believe. As for Yasuke, we know that he did exist. He's a real historical figure. The debates over whether or not he was a samurai have not yielded a definitive answer in either direction, taking creative license. I do hope you lot demand the same level of historical accuracy when Leonardo da Vinci built a flying carpet bombing machine in Ezio Auditore. So what's the issue? What's so funny is it feels like Rahul watched my stream. I'm not saying that he did. I literally made the identical argument yesterday. Almost verbatim. Because we went to the quote in question. I said, provide me the quote Where did they say they wanted this game to be so accurate? I was provided with the quote, and instead of reading the article that ripped it from context, I went to where it actually was stated, and oh, lo and behold, they were talking about the buildings, which is what they've always done. And Rahul is saying the same thing I said. Like, he's saying the same thing. It's like that. You guys don't understand the game that you're playing, the game that you're criticizing. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to retread that whole entire argument, but it's very interesting. It's very interesting. The only thing you leveled at them was was Unity having English accents. All right, this is going to start any minute, so let me get my headphones ready. Guys, try to get us to 200 likes before the show starts, man. Let's rock it. We only need about 30 more likes. Let's do this, and let's do this. It'll just suddenly start, so I have the volume turned down a little bit. I don't think it happened, but seeing the Oblivion remake would be pretty cool. So what do you think they're going to show? I think there's a very slim chance Silksong's there. Like, we always, everybody always thinks, oh, Silksong. Because Silksong's clearly getting ready to do something. They just updated Steam recently, like literally this week. So that's a little fishy. Could be an Xbox game. According to Jeff Grubb, something is going to be here that's going to cause a lot of discussion. So I think Oblivion is next month. According to Nate the Hate, Oblivion remake is in April, and it's a high probability that it will be a shadow drop. Here we go. We need 15 more likes, boys. Keep smashing the like button.
Hello everyone, I'm Shinya Takahashi, and I'll be your guide for today's Nintendo Direct. Today, we'll be providing information on upcoming Nintendo Switch games. We'll also have a Nintendo Direct for Nintendo Switch 2 on April 2nd, so please tune in for that as well. What you just saw was Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake from Square Enix. Another character appeared at the end. What kind of adventure awaits? We hope you're excited for more information in the future. Okay, let's see the first batch of headlines.
How do I like the English voiceover?
Escape from dire straits.
I was actually going to say that the guy that voices over the Directs is always good, the Nintendo Directs. I think he does a good job.
2 minutes until oxygen 0.
Help me! Please help me, Dante!
The latest entry in the the Somnium Files series is stirring. You are Kaname Date, a special agent with a sophisticated AI called Aiba embedded in his left eye. Your mission is to track down Iris, an internet idol who has been trapped in a mysterious escape game. Conduct interviews to investigate Iris's whereabouts. Dive into a subject's dreams to reveal clues hidden deep within their psyche. And solve mind-bending puzzles in an explorable environment. Everything you learn will bring you one step closer to the truth. Uncover what's hidden in reality and dreams to rescue Iris. No Sleep for Kaname Date from The Somnium Files launches on the Nintendo Switch system July 25th.
I pronounced that so wrong, Kaname Date. No Sleep for Kaname Date.
A classic Atlas action RPG returns with remastered HD graphics and enhanced gameplay. Set in the capital city in the year Taisho 20, Raidou Kuzunoha makes his living as an apprentice detective. But unbeknownst to others, he also fights alongside demons as a devil summoner. To protect the capital, Raidou must investigate a series of supernatural cases. Fight in real-time battles alongside demons you summon. Work with your demons to strike an enemy's weak point, then follow up with a powerful attack. Cooperation is the key to victory. You can even turn opposing demons into allies. Demons can also be useful outside of battle. And their powers are helpful in finding solutions during investigations. Guide Raidou through a series of strange incidents.
I assume you're the bird who gave us a call?
As he uncovers a conspiracy that will shake the capital to its core. Raidou Remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army, launches on Nintendo Switch June 19th. Pre-orders begin later today on Nintendo eShop. Consume darkness. With your memories gone, you have been summoned to a strange, unfamiliar world, where you're greeted by a yellow orb known as Puck.
Yeah. This is from Bandai. This one looks really good.
Stranger, moored in a mysterious, maze-like world, your battle for survival begins. As Puck guides you on your journey, you'll delve deeper into the expansive world. By examining your surroundings, you can phase shift and combine with Puck to explore areas you couldn't reach before. But tread lightly. The creatures inhabiting this world will prove hostile. When facing imposing enemies, you and Puck can temporarily fuse into the Gaia form to unleash powerful attacks. By consuming your prey, you'll collect resources that can then be used to enhance your abilities. Work to uncover Puck's true goal and devour enemies to survive this cruel world. Experience a dark twist on the iconic Pac-Man when Shadow Labyrinth launches on Nintendo Switch July 18th. The rhythmic march begins. Remasters of Patapon and Patapon 2 are drumming onto Nintendo Switch as one bundle.
That Shadow Labyrinth game, yeah, there was a secret level that basically showed that character. It was actually a really great episode of Secret Level. And Shadow Labyrinth is a multi-plat game, PlayStation 5, Switch, Series X and S, and Steam. So you will not have to play it on Switch if you don't want to.
Has them attack. And if you string together combos with good timing, the Patapons enter fever mode and get a big boost in power. From the horse-riding Kibapon to the shield-savvy Tatepon, build up your battalion to take on hordes of fierce foes. Plus, new features have been added.
Yeah, this is a Sony IP, guys. Sony going third party.
Leave the Patapons and March 4th, when Patapon 1+2 Replay launches on Nintendo Switch, July 11th. Welcome to Zephyr Town, a cozy place nestled in a windswept valley. This is where your new life begins. First cropping up on the Nintendo DS system, this immersive farming and life sim has no shortage of activities to get up to.
Oh, you must be the new farmer!
Tend to your farm while growing crops and caring for animals. Then sell your produce and other wares at the town's weekly bazaar. As bazaar sales grow, you'll help the once famous market regain its former splendor.
Inspiring, honestly.
You can also get to know the locals
I'd like to spend more time with you.
and maybe nurture a relationship if you find that special someone. Plus, taking advantage of Zephyr Town's windy conditions can make travel and other tasks a breeze.
Here we go!
The winds of change are coming, and your new life on the farm begins when Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar launches on the Nintendo Switch system August 27th.
Please look forward to the latest entry in the Story of Seasons series. Next, please take a look at this.
Here you go. Here you go. This is why it's not going to be at the Switch 2 event.
This is the unknown planet Vuros. Here, Samus finds a verdant jungle with a colossal tree at its center. In order to survive and escape this planet that she was unexpectedly transported to, Samus must scan stone figures and other relics to carve a path forward. She's not alone, though. Abhorrent, alien creatures living in the jungle are waiting to strike. As she explores the planet, Samus is granted mysterious and ancient powers. Psychic abilities. These powers allow Samus to operate mechanisms and to open doors. They also allow her to control the trajectory of her beams with the power of her mind. But why were these powers bestowed upon Samus? And what will be her fate after being summoned to Vuros? The threads intertwining beyond space and time are beginning to weave a new tale.
Somebody said, why wouldn't they... Somebody said, why wouldn't they use this to promote the Switch 2? Listen, there's a part of me that wonders if the Switch 2 thing is really going to be heavy on games that are only playable on Switch 2, and this is cross-gen. Yo, that red is hot.
It looks like even more challenges await Samus. We hope you're looking forward to exploring with Samus's new psychic abilities. Okay, let's move on to some more headlines.
Ready to stir up some mischief? Once upon a time, there was a drab coffee shop that transformed into a magical potion cafe. As the newest potionista of the cursed cafe, you'll craft concoctions for Disney villains and get to know them in a new light. Mix ingredients to brew all sorts of strange elixirs. Then serve them to your villainous visitors, including Ursula and Gaston. With help from Yzma, you can upgrade your ingredients to produce some wildly wicked creations. The potions you make can influence each customer's storylines, leading to different outcomes every time you play. Who knows what mischief might happen? Disney Villains Cursed Cafe launches on Nintendo Switch later today. Summon a spellbinding adventure. Welcome to Witchbrook College, where students strive to master the magical arts. During class, use magic circles to perform rituals, fly on brooms, and learn advanced techniques to go from witch in training to skilled spellcaster. There's also plenty to do outside of class. Hang out with friends at their homes. Take on various jobs to help pay for tuition. Or use the spells you've learned to craft and sell original items. Plus, up to 4 players can make magic together in online co-op. Explore this whimsical world on the road to graduation and beyond. Are you ready for a spellbinding journey? Enrollment begins when Witchbrook flies onto Nintendo Switch this holiday. Action, adventure, and arcade games await. Set off on a fantastical mission to eliminate a mysterious deity. In this hand-drawn platforming adventure, you'll explore an expansive archipelago where nightmares and wonder collide. Upgrade your trusty cane with magical parts, then use its abilities to find your own path through the enchanting world. Can you uncover the secrets the archipelago holds? Find out when the Eternal Life of Goldman launches on Nintendo Switch this holiday.
That kind of looks good. Is that a multiplayer?
Celebrate the 40th anniversary of Gradius with a collection of arcade shoot-'em-up games from across the series. Titles include Gradius, Salamander, Life Force, Gradius 2, Gradius 3, and Salamander 2. Some titles come with multiple versions, including ones from different regions and launch years. Plus, take the helm in a brand new entry, Salamander 3. Gradius Origins launches on the Nintendo Switch system August 7th. Pre-orders begin later today on Nintendo eShop. Battle to the beat in Rift of the Necrodancer. Press the corresponding buttons in each lane to fight monsters in rhythm-based combat. Keep the cadence going with epic boss battles, quirky minigames, remixed stages, and global leaderboards. Plus, more musical mayhem awaits in the Celeste Music Pack paid DLC. And be on the lookout for more DLC in the future. Rift of the Necrodancer launches on Nintendo Switch later today. Let's see what's in store. Welcome to Tamagotchi Plaza, a brand new entry in the Tamagotchi Connection series. There are stores galore. Design glasses at the eyewear shop. Polish pearly whites solo or with a friend at the dentist. And arrange plates at the afternoon tea shop. 12 wonderful stores need your help. Provide good customer service to get high ratings and upgrade each shop. In doing so, you'll get to meet more Tamagotchi, making the town livelier than before. With over 100 new and classic Tamagotchi, business is sure to be booming. Get ready to set up shop when Tamagotchi Plaza launches on Nintendo Switch June 27th. Welcome to
Somebody yesterday was hoping to see something about this, weren't you?
in the Pokemon series. You'll begin your adventure by choosing one of 3 partner Pokemon. The setting is this metropolis that also appeared in the Pokemon X and Pokemon Y games, Lumio City. To make it easier for people and Pokemon to coexist,
Yeah, I've always said Tamagotchi.
Inc. is carrying out an urban redevelopment plan. Here, we'll get a glimpse into the lives of the Pokemon and people of Lumio City. Scattered all over town are wild zones. These areas are special environments where wild Pokemon can live comfortably, even within the city. You can catch Pokemon here, but they might be hostile. If you sense trouble, get to safety. There are Pokemon that live outside wild zones too. Some of them can even be found on rooftops. People and Pokemon live easygoing lives in Lumio City. But when night falls, the city's aura transforms. Highly skilled trainers are invited to participate in a tournament, the Z-A Royale. Trainers await in battle zones. If you're spotted, they'll challenge you to battle. Strike first before being seen, and you'll land a surprise attack. During battles, using a super effective move at the right moment is key. And with Mega Evolution, some Pokemon can power up even more. You'll start at rank Z and work your way up to rank A. Trainers who reach the top are said to have a wish granted. Day and night are 2 sides to Lumio City. It seems there are even more secrets waiting to be uncovered. What will you find on your adventure? Pokemon Legends Z-A launches on Nintendo Switch later this
Lono's struggling to look interested. No, I was trying to do something for my wife, and yeah, I'm not a Pokemon guy. Sorry. If you guys are enjoying hanging out, make sure and smash the like button. Let's try to get 300 likes.
More secrets to uncover. Please be on the lookout for more information in the future. Next, please take a look at this.
Hello there. Boop. The game you're about to see, boop, doesn't have a big, epic story, boop. But what it does have is lots of funny little rhythm games, boop. You wanna see? Boop. Just press the button to jump through the ring, boop. It sounds easy. but the timing is super tricky. Boop. Maybe you could try it in time to a rhythm? In this game, you might do almost anything, but you'll need to do it in rhythm. With practice, you might even be able to play it with your eyes closed.
Get into the rhythm with a brand new entry in the Rhythm Heaven series, Rhythm Heaven Groove.
I'm just going to be bold and say that I think that's Game of the Year.
In the Rhythm Heaven series. It includes lots of music produced by renowned Japanese musician Tsunku. What kinds of rhythms do you think you'll hear? We hope you're looking forward to it. Next, we have news about the use of digital games on your system. Please take a look.
With game cards, you can put a game featuring Mario in this Nintendo Switch system and a Legend of Zelda game in this one, freely inserting the games you have on hand into any system you want. But what if digital games could be as flexible and convenient as game cards? Well, here's what we came up with. Introducing the Virtual Game Card. In the future, virtual game cards can be used for digital games. When purchasing the digital version of a game, it will be loaded onto your system as a virtual game card, allowing you to play that title. Your digital games will be lined up as virtual game cards on a dedicated management screen. Here, you can load and eject your virtual game cards and manage which games you can play on your system. If you have two Nintendo Switch systems, you can eject a virtual game card from one and load it onto the second. Now you can play this game on the second system wherever and whenever you want, just as if you had inserted a physical game card. With virtual game cards, you can freely load and arrange which games you play on up to two systems. Local communication with your second system is required, but only the first time. You can also lend out virtual game cards to your Nintendo account family group members. Connect to your family group member system via local wireless when you want to lend a game. Choose the title you're lending and who you're lending it to. And you're done. They can now play on their own system. You can only lend one game at a time to a particular person. Games can be lent out for 2 weeks, after which they will automatically return to you, making digital games even easier to use.
That's not
Virtual
easier.
Game Card.
No, that's not easier. PlayStation's family share is 1,000 times superior to that. That's crap. I don't want to do that. If I own the game digitally, just let me play it on either system. I don't lend it for 14 days. Get the frick out of here.
Feature is planned to be added via a system update in late April. Let's take a look at more Nintendo Switch games.
I mean, I don't know why you're saying we need to protect physical games, because physical games would require you to do the same thing. You'd have to give them the disc or the card, and then only one person could play it at a time. One of the reasons I like PlayStation's family sharing is, like, my son can be playing Hogwarts, and so can my daughter, each on their own profile. Like, I don't have to jump through all these hoops of lending the game.
SaGa Frontier 2 is venturing on to Nintendo Switch. Meet Gustav, the royal heir, and Will, the explorer. Two heroes whose fates and legacies will intertwine across generations in this epic RPG. Experience the original story, along with brand new events that expand the vibrant world of Sondale. Plus, team up with more characters in battle.
Physical should still be saved. I don't think physical's a part of this discussion, though. Like, we can have a conversation about physical. That has no bearing on what Nintendo just outlined. What Nintendo just outlined is tedious and not enjoyable. Like, I don't want to buy a new Mario Kart or a new Zelda and then be like, oh, sorry, only I can play it. And if you want to play it, I got to lend it to you for 2 weeks. Like, like Zubair said, it has to just be just annoying enough. It has to be just annoying enough that you buy the game. You're just like, well, I'm just going to buy the game twice.
Adventures await. Embark on peaceful journeys across this series of beautiful puzzle games. Wander through isometric worlds filled with stunning landscapes to manipulate, optical illusions to discover, and mystifying secrets to unfold. In Monument Valley, lead the silent Princess Ida in her quest for forgiveness while outsmarting the enigmatic Crow people. A different journey awaits in Monument Valley 2. Guide Ro in her adventure through motherhood as she and her child unlock the secrets of the sacred geometry. Both games contain all their additional chapters, add-ons, and DLC. The first two Monument Valley games launch on Nintendo Switch April 15th. Pre-orders begin later today on Nintendo eShop.
That's really good for Monument Valley.
Help Noor on her journey to restore the world's light in Monument Valley 3, setting sail on Nintendo Switch this summer.
Yeah, that's really, really good for the makers of Monument Valley. Such a big platform. I mean, if you can still designate a home Switch and I can play and my kids can play, that's great. I still don't like the idea of having to lend it to them instead of just like installing it and being like, no, it's installed over there on my account. You can play it.
Aim. Time your button press just right and take your shot.
Nice shot.
Perform backspins, side spins, and other special shots. In the single-player challenge mode, compete in tournaments and face off against a range of rivals to become the ultimate golfer. In Wacky Golf, your shots could get pulled into holes, or obstacles might fall. It's golf that's not quite par for the course. Up to 4 golfers can hit the fairway together locally or in online play. So just relax and get ready to tee off. Everybody's Golf Hot Shots lands on Nintendo Switch this year. Unite some of Marvel's greatest superheroes in the fight against evil. Pair up 2 heroes from the roster of 15, including the likes of the spectacular Spider-Man and the ferocious Wolverine, to take on the challenge. From close quarters combatants to aerial aces, you can mix and match a variety of heroes for an amazing array of possibilities. And swap between your team of 2 at any time. Take advantage of your team's strengths to overwhelm your foes. Plus, up to 4 players can assemble for local or online co-op play.
Yeah!
The battle for the fate of the Marvel Universe begins when Marvel Cosmic Invasion launches on the Nintendo Switch system this holiday.
Oh, holiday? That looked great.
That was Marvel Cosmic Invasion. where you'll battle as a tag team of different superheroes.
That reminds me of we had a game
our
that was really, really hard. It was a side scroller, and you could play as like Hawkeye and Cap had to like land on his shield for some of the challenges, like some of the jump challenges. It was a really hard game. Guys, make sure you're hitting the like button. Let's get to 300 likes. There's so many of you here.
I'm a buckle. Tornadoes a Hanji plus than yesterday.
What the frick's going on here?
How refreshing. Hiya. Tamagotchi life. Living the dream.
2026, you really need to announce this today? Street Shadow with a...
want to talk?
What the frick? The heck's going on? That was terrifying.
That was only a dream.
$5 super chat from Street Shadow. I'm guessing that the Patapon remake and Everybody's Golf will be on PlayStation as well. They're both PlayStation IP.
In the series,
well, we could definitely have a community game night with Everybody's Golf.
Trailer, we saw Mii characters living on an island out at sea. What kinds of interactions do you think they'll have? We hope you're looking forward to it. Thank you for watching today's Nintendo Direct so far. Our final announcement is something a little different that's not a game. Here's Mr. Miyamoto to introduce it.
Hello, I'm Shigeru Miyamoto. Thank you for watching today's Nintendo Direct. Since 2011, Nintendo Direct has delivered Nintendo news directly to you. And now, these presentations have grown into an event that many people watch. Thank you all very much. We'll continue to broadcast Nintendo Direct presentations, but we're also launching a new channel based on the concept of delivering information to you directly. This is a smart device app called Nintendo Today, which functions like a daily calendar. In the app, you can view different Nintendo events. We will also be delivering all sorts of content about Nintendo games and characters every day. After the Nintendo Direct for Nintendo Switch 2 on April 2nd, news about Nintendo Switch 2 will be delivered to you daily and directly through the Nintendo Today app as well. Nintendo Today will be available to download on smart devices later today.
Yeah, Miyamoto's hair looks
great. Anyone with a Nintendo
great.
account can use the app, so please try it out. That's all I have to share. I hope you enjoy using Nintendo Today.
That's all for today's Nintendo Direct. Thank you for watching.
What the frick? What the frick, Grub? Where is the big thing? There's no one more thing. They don't do one more things. I don't think they do. I don't know if they've ever done a one more thing. Where's the big thing that's going to cause a bunch of conversation? What's going on, man? Greatest show of all time? Yeah, was it the app? I don't know why they did this show. I don't know why they did this show. They had games that didn't even have release dates. They had a 2025, a 2026. What was the point in doing this? You're doing a Nintendo Direct in like a couple of days for the Switch 2. I am so thoroughly confused as to what the point of this was. Like, I said I could see them being in contracts or something where they had to do this and the timing of the Switch 2 maybe was in flux and they didn't know when they were going to do the Direct and they didn't know when pre-orders and release date was going to be. Maybe there was a bit of a flex there, and they just scheduled this a long time ago, and they had these contracts and these marketing deals with all these companies. But like, I'm very confused. Like, Metroid Prime 4 looked amazing, but why wouldn't you use that during the Switch 2 Direct? High on Life? Do you think I don't think he was thinking about High on Life being like a conversation starter. I wonder maybe Grub got his wires crossed, and the big thing that's going to be causing conversation is going to happen at the next one. He said it was a partner or something to that effect. Grub, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I think it was like, oh yeah, it's going to be like a third-party game or a partner game or whatever. Maybe he got his wires crossed, or maybe somebody got their wires crossed, and it's going to be at the next one. He said, the reason I learned about this Nintendo Direct is because of a partner game, and there's going to be a game that will cause a lot of conversation, and it's not necessarily a Nintendo one. So I don't know. Again, maybe he got, like you're saying, maybe he got debated. He's saying the only reason he knew about this Direct was because of this game that was allegedly going to be there. So I don't know. The two Sony games? Do you think that's what he was talking about? Like Patapon and the golf game? Patapon was the only partner game? Yeah, but why would that cause conversation? And then a VIP comes in from AOZ. Let me add that to the goal. That gets us to 309. Maybe today was a trap to find out who the leakers were. Mwahaha, maybe. The entire Direct was very much we have crap that we're obligated to announce, but we don't want to step on the Switch too. Street Shadow with a $10 super chat says, one thing to highlight about PlayStation IP that were shown is that they're both developed by Bandai. I think it's an example of the PlayStation allowing third parties to develop their IP. The ROI is high on the Switch. I can't think that Grub thought that those titles were going to cause a lot of conversation. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I wonder if there was something that he thought was going to be there and maybe it got bummed. What about Tamagotchi? Weren't they saying Tomogotchi? I always thought it was Tamagotchi. The golf game was that odd graphic style where the guys literally have three-piece suits and the girls are in halter tops and mini skirts. Yeah, I don't care about that. I mean, I don't know. It was fine. We kind of had to cover it. We didn't really have a choice. We were going to play AI Limit today, but it's getting killed on Metacritic. And I'm like, I've played so many games lately and have such a big backlog. I'm not going to waste time on it. John Always with €5 says HK78. What are you doing, John? What are you doing? I wonder, let's see if Grubbs tweeted, if he sent a tweet. Let's see if he said anything. Because, like, we were going to probably cover it either way. Like, I'm not mad at him. I'm just confused. Like, what did he hear was going to be there? He hasn't said anything. So maybe, again, over 3 million players. AC Shadows has now hit 3 million players. He hasn't tweeted for 2 days. He said, I'm beefing with Jez Corden 2 days ago. 40 million hours logged by players is insane. Yeah. AC Shadows is doing very, very well. Oh, it's a super googly shout out. Know your lore. Oh, it's a super googly shout out. It is. It's the 78 HK currency that he always tweets. Super chats with. We're one super chat away from the super chat goal of me owing you guys a member. Currently, I owe you 15. When this gets to 325, I'll owe you guys a 20 bomb. So let's get there. Let's show appreciation to everybody who's still hanging out. I mean, we don't have anywhere else to be, so we can just keep talking about anything going on in gaming. He's going to be so triggered when he realizes he helped AC Shadows. We have a video where we said the hate was helping. Grub was right. Didn't you see the rhythm game? Yeah, that was it. That was what Grub was referring to. That was the one. That was the one. Holy mackerel. I do have a video about Assassin's Creed Shadows. It'll hit tomorrow afternoon, so look forward to that. I feel like it turned out pretty good, pretty strong. It landed where I wanted it to. Trying to focus on a spring back positivity. Hang on. Rhythm Heaven Groove is going to be lit. I mean, I'm happy to play some of those games as member incentives, especially the rhythm game. The rhythm game looked ridiculous. Skill Up scorched the naysayers of AC Shadows in his latest video. The direct isn't for us. I'm not even really mad. Like I said, I'm just more confused than anything. I'm not upset. Nintendo's always just going to kind of do whatever Nintendo's going to do. The fact that, like, Tamagotchi and Pokemon were in there, you know, I think, again, I wonder if the marketing, timing, and production lines of the Switch 2, I wonder if it was just in flux. And they were like, yeah, we might announce the Switch 2 here and do the direct here. And everything kind of shuffled around. And this direct that we just watched was already recorded and ready to go. And they've got marketing contracts with these companies. I mean, think about Pokemon as an example, or the Bandai games. Like, you can't like disrupt those agreements and those contracts. You got a Marvel game in there, Cosmic Invasion. I don't think they could disrupt all of that. That would be my guess. My guess would be that they had a deal with all of these companies, put this direct together, and then the Nintendo Switch 2, its direct is the one that's stepping on it. Like, it's not landing maybe where they were originally planning it to be. It's entirely possible that all of those leaks that kept happening with the Switch 2 moved up the timeline, because think about it. Right now we're hearing that the Nintendo Switch 2 release date is in June, and we're hearing that pre-orders are going to go live on April the 2nd, which is the same day as the Direct. That seems a little early for pre-orders for a device, you know. Okay. I'm being told by a source that I trust that there was shaky info about this direct, and the shaky info made this person not really put a lot of stock into it. This individual seems to think that maybe they're trying to flush out leakers and catch them, so they may have pushed out bad info on purpose in an effort to catch people. I mean, I don't know. Nintendo takes it a little bit more seriously than others, so that I would not be surprised if they did the old, you know, flush bad info down the pipes and find where the leak is. You know, the person that just sent me this message, I trust them, and they're like, yeah, I thought the info was shaky, so, you know, it felt a little off. Yeah, well, seems like we may be dealing with Nintendo's trying to find who's leaking their stuff, and the guy in the office that heard what he heard and went to all the people and said what they said. I mean, maybe they caught the guy. I don't know. What was the rumor? The rumor was nothing specific. It was just that there was going to be a pretty significant game there that was going to cause a lot of conversation. I didn't see anything at this event that like people were thinking it was going to be like an Xbox game or something. Like, you know, like people were like, oh, the Master Chief Collection. And I was like, I don't know about that. I thought maybe Silksong could be there, but the reason I was 50-50 on Silksong because I think Team Cherry has a marketing agreement with Xbox. Because the Hollow Knight Silksong was a part of the Xbox showcase in 2022, and Xbox famously said that like everything shown in the showcase would be arriving in the next 12 months. Well, you know, Xbox probably feels like they got to make that right with Team Cherry, so, you know, they're probably going to market the heck out of the game when it finally has a release date. I feel like they have an agreement. A 5-spot from Old School Gamer, and he makes it rain confetto. Wait, it didn't make it. Oh, there it goes. Makes it rain confetto. I owe you guys a member. What if the new system allows you to play Switch 2 games on an OG Switch so you don't need to buy a Switch 2 for your entire family straight away? There's no way to know how many titles are going to be Switch 2 only. I actually wonder if the reason that the Metroid game was at this event and we were told that the Metroid game was not going to be at the Nintendo Switch 2 event, I wonder if they're going to focus on, at the Direct, really big titles that are Switch 2 only, like the Mario Kart game or a brand new mainline Mario or a Zelda or something, and then they're also going to focus on like big third-party ports. Like they could have games there. Like we've heard a lot of rumors about like Tekken, Starfield, and all these others. I just don't know. Nintendo is hard to predict. I genuinely feel like both PlayStation and Nintendo are hard to predict. It's been a lot easier to predict what Microsoft is going to do. Like Microsoft and Xbox, we've predicted almost their every move. I was like, they're going to go software strategy. They're going to start putting their games everywhere. They're going to demonize exclusives. Like, every step of the way, I've been able to say, yeah, this is what Xbox is going to do next, and then they freaking do it. I don't think I've gotten a single prediction right about PlayStation or Nintendo. Like, they're really difficult to predict. So I have no idea what their plans are for this device. You're talking about the same system? Yeah, you retracted. I don't know what you're saying. They also likely are trying to get ahead of the curve for people cracking on emulation of the new games and the virtual card system. It's a huge problem for them with the OG Switch. So do you think that that's what that's about, Paris? Because that, it to me, it feels extremely convoluted to lend a digital game to my kids. Like what the frick am I even doing at that point? Like, I boot up a PlayStation on my account, I install the game, I switch to my kid's account, and they can play as long as it's designated as the home PlayStation. It's that easy. I don't have to do anything. Now you're saying I got to go in, I got to have both Switches in proximity, I got to lend the game to them. So if my kid takes his Switch to his friend's house or brings it up to Thanksgiving to Ohio, and I leave mine at home, like, how can I log in on myself and then install it, or do I got to do something specific to make that possible? Yeah, and then I can only lend it for 14 days. So, like, if I lend it to them, and then we take a trip, and I forgot to re-lend it to him, and he's only got 3 days left, and halfway through our vacation, he can't play the game anymore, like, it just seems so laced with potential problems. Just buy a second copy. Right, it would just be easier at that point to buy a second copy so that my kid can play the game. Virtual cards are probably going to have a new level of signed encryption, and it will require always online. Cracked Switches can only stay cracked if they're offline. So you think this is some kind of an effort to push against piracy? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. They started cracking down on channels that brag about it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you out here showing people how to basically not pay for the games. Nintendo's going to take an issue with that. Okay, here's the virtual card description from the PR. Wario's got it here. Let's take a look. Introducing the Virtual Game Card, a new feature for easily managing purchased digital games, playing games on 2 different systems, and even lending or borrowing games. Similar in concept to moving physical game cards between systems, virtual game cards make it possible to eject a purchased digital title from one Nintendo Switch system and load it onto another, whether it belongs to a member of the same Nintendo account family group or a second system tied to your account. This optional feature allows you to view virtual game cards or eject them from your system. The digital game game can also be lent to a Nintendo account family group member system via local wireless connection. Games that you lend can then be played on that Nintendo account family group member system for 2 weeks, after which the game will be automatically returned to you. This feature will be available on the Nintendo Switch starting late April via a hardware system update. Additionally, virtual game cards will also work with the Nintendo Switch 2 systems at launch. So there you go. Today, we again saw proof that it is illegal to wind down a Nintendo console generation without releasing a new Rhythm Heaven game. There you go. Says Steven Totillo. You can't even post a video of modded first-party content without risking Nintendo striking the entire channel. Even if their EULA says that you can own a copy, you can play it, however. Do they explicitly state that you can just re-lend the game? I don't know. That was from their official website. Like, Wario just screenshot it and then tweeted it. What if there's a cooldown? Yeah, if there's a cooldown, that's going to be infuriating. Like, if my kids want to play Mario Kart and I don't want to frickin' play Mario Kart, and their lend time is up, like, what are we going to do? Do they got to play on my account? Do they got to play on my Switch? Like, if I'm trying to play Zelda and they want to play Mario Kart, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, they're definitely making it to where you're going to feel like you've got to buy the game multiple times. And I understand the issue that can happen with game theft and with piracy and all of that, but man, if they're straining at that, and then in the process, consumers like me that are like, I just want to buy the game and then let my kiddos play it without having to jump through all these hoops. Just buy a second copy, Lono. These guys are diabolical. Yeah. After 14 days, litigation will begin. They would be in your family? What do you mean? It specifically states that I can lend it to them for 14 days. I'm not misreading it, am I? Games that you lend to the family group system for 2 weeks, after which will be automatically returned to you. It's specifically talking about the family group member. I could totally understand if you are outside of my family group and I lend the game to you for 2 weeks so you could try it. That's totally fine and makes sense to me. If you're not in my family group, you're just my buddy, and I'm like, hey, I'll bring my Switch to work, you bring your Switch to work, we can trade games and see if, I want to see if I like the new Pokemon game, you want to see if you like the new Tamagotchi game. Well, you can borrow mine for 2 weeks, I'll borrow yours for 2 weeks, and you lend it to each other, and then 2 weeks later it's gone, and then there's a cooldown period. I totally get that. You're not in my family group. If you're in my family group, like with my kiddos, and I'm paying for Nintendo Online and all that, and we're all having a good time, we're all playing your games, I'm not a consumer to treat in that way. You're making it difficult on me to enjoy the games in the way that I've been enjoying them up to now. I've not been doing any kind of convoluted, thievery or anything like that. I buy your games, my kiddos like your games, and then they play the games on their Switches. My son's got a Switch Lite. My daughter plays on the standard Switch. I was planning on getting a couple Switch 2s because I know the only way I'm going to be able to play on the dadgum thing in the first couple of weeks that it's out is I'm going to have my own. Because if not, on the weekends, my kids are going to take it from me. It's optional. You can still use the previous method for playing on multiple systems. How do you know that, Ahoy Tyler? How do you know that? Who told you can still do it the original way? Where did you get this information? If you can still do it the original way, then I don't care. If I can go in on my account, download the game, install it, and then my boy can boot up and play it, I'm fine with that. He's actually not able to do that on his Lite, and I think it's because it's not designated as the home Switch. So he always has to play on my profile, but then my daughter plays on any profile she wants because she's on the home Switch. But they're both able to play any game I've purchased. They need to give you offline access to games. Lona always buying 2 of everything. I'm surprised he didn't buy 2 streaming rigs out of habit. I thought I needed 2. We don't got to overthink this? What do you mean we don't have to overthink this? They've added new steps. Yeah, what? They've added new steps, brother. Mike on the mic rounds out the total for the week to 310. Thank you for that gifted member. Guys, always double check that you've renewed your memberships. If you're at Member Plus or VIP, your membership always counts towards the goal. If you decide to upgrade, it counts as 2. A lot of you guys are reporting that you're getting your Sprecher soda. Thank you guys so much for continuing to order that. You can use the soda command in chat. Don't overthink this, mother effer. That's all we do around here. That's all we do here is overthink things. That's right. Why not excited for virtual game card? Why aren't you excited for virtual game card? There's a magic word, Dad. No, just say no. That's mine. I'm the alpha. Yes, that's that right there. Alpha male parenting would be such an amazing book. If your baby is crying, don't check if it's hungry or needs its diaper changed. Just tell it it's being a beta and put it back in its crib. If your baby is crying in the middle of the night, put in earplugs. You don't want to raise a beta. So I'm not going to comfort my baby. That's woke. Being caring and nurturing, that is woke. Not doing it. Yeah, eat the baby like an alpha wolf. Be a true alpha wolf, dude. That's right. That is right. It's what you're supposed to do. Any sign of weakness, you know? Would not surprise me at all if Nintendo is going to virtual cards as a way of clamping down on license access too. No new Shadow Drop NSO game for release, but I interpreted Nintendo's new virtual game card announcement as something similar to Netflix's investor-pleasing cracking down on password sharing. Snapping back a loaned virtual game card in 2 weeks seems designed to cut down on long-term sharing. Listen, if people are finding loopholes and ways to quite literally not buy games, I get that, and I'm fine with that. I've never been a huge fan of, you know, the people who find every loophole they can to not spend money in the gaming industry. Like, I get being frugal, but being like, I haven't bought a game in 7 years because my buddy just shares them all with me. It's like, what the frick? Like, I understand people fall on hard times, and sometimes, you know, your buddy's got to hook you up. So I understand a company being like, hey, you know, we want to crack down on people that are basically abusing the system and essentially not buying games. Like, I totally get that. But when you strain at that situation and in the process you make things harder on, you know, good and honest customers, that I've got 2 kiddos and you've just complicated everything for me. You know what I mean? You've just complicated. I don't think you're going to stop the piracy, like, at all. I don't think you're going to stop those guys, you know, which is unfortunate, but I think that's just the reality. You'll never stop the pirating, just don't make it bonehead easy for people to do and accept that dedicated people will bypass your safeguards. I spent less than $3 on Nintendo for over 10 years, and I'm coming back because virtual game card. The way they packaged it, it was like so positive. It was like, oh, you can move your games around really easy. It's like, I can do that now. What do you mean? I just turned on my son's Switch Lite. I went to the store. I went to games I own, and I just downloaded them. Now, obviously, that is nicer if I have like a catalog of games that I own. The current system actually isn't very good. It actually isn't the best. So yeah, I think that's nice, having something that puts them all in one place and I can just kind of download them. But complicating it, you know, it's one of the reasons I've been critical of Steam's family sharing. Steam's family sharing doesn't serve my purposes because if I buy a co-op game to play with my wife, I have to buy it twice. I can't family share it and actually enjoy it in the way that it's designed because I'm buying it for us to play together. If it's local, we don't need to family share. But if it's an online co-op game, I need it installed on 2 rigs so we can connect and play together. I got to buy the game twice. I got my low-cal root beer, says Lone Wolf. I'm probably not the best judge of soda anymore as I don't really drink soda anymore. There's too many calories. The root beer flavor was a little weak, and I had to readjust to the fizziness since it's been months since my last soda. Overall, pretty good, but probably not worth it for me while I'm on this diet and infrequently drinking soda. I'll revisit when I reach my weight goal. I almost never drink soda as well, Lone Wolf. I don't know if the low-cal maybe just has a different flavor. The standard root beer I thought was very good, and I don't like root beer. Spice King says, Nintendo wouldn't be Nintendo without making simple things more complicated than anyone else. It's part of the charm at this point. It's almost like if you want to lend your game to your friend, just write us a letter for permission, send us the game card. We'll send it back to you with a picture of Miyamoto giving you a thumbs up. And once he's done that, then you will be free and clear to share the game. It'll actually update the card. Like, what in the world's going on? Literally 15 effing months they'll be trying to sell us the Switch 2 Deluxe, because virtual game card. The Switch 2 Deluxe. I don't know what you're talking about. There won't be a Switch 2 Deluxe. Xbox games on PlayStation and PlayStation games on Nintendo because it's the circle of life. Wait, he can't be. He's not seriously upset about PlayStation games going to Nintendo, is he? He's not being serious, dude. Come on, J-Dub. Shut the frick up, bro. Paris says it's a function of the legal definitions. You're not buying the game, you're buying a license and playing a single copy of the game. Oh no, I know that we don't really buy games anymore. We buy licenses. That's not lost on me. That's not lost on me. Isn't 2? No, the Switch 2 is not OLED. No, it's an LCD. We knew that a long time ago when they were gearing up the production lines for the Nintendo Switch 2. The LCD provider kind of gave that away, and everyone's like, LCD, really? And I'm like, well, they're going to try to keep production and cost down, and the OLED will come out later, and guess what? A bunch of people will buy it, and a bunch of people will buy it, and, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to stop them? It'll probably be all digital Switch 2 Lite. Yeah, they'll probably do a Switch 2 Lite, a Switch 2 OLED for sure. For sure. And they'll sell a ton of them. I mean, they sold people cardboard for crying out loud. You think they're going to, Grub says, Rhythm Heaven and Tamagotchi Life, people with taste won today. Okay, Mr. Grubb. Where's the title that was going to cause a bunch of discussion, though? Where's that? Where is that? Did you get debated? Did you get tricked? Huh? I'm curious. I feel like he got tricked, dude. Were we misled? What's he asking now? Hang on, let me. That's an hour ago. And looking good. I'm not seeing that. I think Bellular is screenshotting an older tweet. He meant the mini game for sharing. Patapon and Hot Shots Golf for being PlayStation IP. He thought those were going to be conversation starters? Like people were going to be talking about that? It had to be Patapon 1 and 2. People don't care. That frog has been on boil for a long time. Yeah, I don't think anybody's paying any attention to that. I don't think anybody saw that and thought, oh man, it's really changing now. PC Gamers Magazine's out now with an exclusive Doom the Dark Ages cover. They also have Blades of Fire, Atomfall, Pax Augusta, Solasta 2, Captain Blood, Imperial, Keep Driving, Jump Ship, and more. Reality is a good way to check the quality of someone's analysis. That applies to me. If we get anything wrong, I absolutely want to hear about it. Yeah, I agree with what Bellular's saying here about the Assassin's Creed thing. Xbox channels will eat that up. I mean, I guess. I don't think that there's anything to it. Like, PlayStation has basically made it clear they are okay taking older IP or older games or games that they feel like fit with Nintendo and putting them either on Nintendo or putting games on PC. I don't see that as what we've been dealing with lately, I think, is people don't understand what equivalency means. Right? They do not understand what equivalency means. It's like if you go to the gym every day and you're like a health nut, and I go on a walk once an evening and you're like, yeah, looks like Lono's turned into a real health nut. No, we are not the same. we are not the same, okay? Putting all your titles day and date on PC and then starting to put your titles on PlayStation and then putting your titles on PlayStation day and date, that's going third party. Like, Xbox is turning into a third party publisher, okay? Putting some of your older titles or titles that have been out for a while and porting them to PC, or putting titles like the Lego Horizon game or the Patapon or the golf game on Nintendo, that is not equivalent to what Xbox is doing. It isn't. It's like they haven't signaled to their shareholders that they're going to do it, and that's how we knew Xbox was going to do it. People don't understand what equivalency is. It's such a false equivalency. The minute that PlayStation starts telling their shareholders, yeah, we're going to start putting our property on platforms that we considered competitors formally, then you could say, yep, they're turned into a third-party publisher. That's literally what Xbox told everybody in 2023, and we were told that we didn't understand context. And the context was, we care about publishing. We're switching to a software strategy. PlayStation hasn't signaled that a single time anywhere to their shareholders that they're going to start just putting their property everywhere. They have quite literally said the opposite. So, like, it's just not an equivalency. It isn't. Sorry. I will immediately concede and say, yep, they're turned into a third-party publisher when they say that. It won't be hard. It will not be hard to be like, oh, yep, there they go. PlayStation just said they're going to do the same thing that Xbox has been doing. Because they will tell their shareholders, this is how we're going to maximize return for you shareholders. We're going to start putting our games on platforms that we formerly considered competitors. Patapon 1 and 2 replay marches out to PS5 as Sony licenses the series out. Yeah, it also looks like they're handling it very differently. It sounds like who are they licensing it out to? Bandai? I thought Bandai's name popped up. Let me click on this. How are they phrasing this? Are you noticing a pattern yet? Sony and Bandai are enjoying a very fruitful relationship with a number of Japan studios' old favorites getting licensed out. You may recall Freedom Wars Remastered releasing earlier this year. You probably already read our story about Everybody's Golf. But now Rhythm RPG Patapon is also joining the party with Patapon 1 and 2 Replay coming to PS5, PC, and Nintendo Switch on the 11th of July. This one's interesting because Sony already did a remaster of the first two Patapon games for the PS4, but they weren't the best versions. This new edition will actually include some additional quality of life features. Okay, yeah, again, if you think this is an equivalency to what Xbox has done, I don't know if I can help build a bridge to the island of dumb that you're living on. I can't get to you. Like, I think you're too dumb to understand what's going on. I'm sorry. I can't get to you. I can't. You're living on a really, really dumb island. I can't build a bridge to it. I don't know what to tell you. They're not equivalent at all. It's like old games getting remade. We're putting them on PS5, PC, and Switch. They're third party. They're doing what Xbox did. Nope. No, it's not equivalent even remotely. I've always said, if you think that PlayStation's going to switch to this strategy of being more like a third-party publisher, we will hear about it in crystal clear terms to the shareholders. We will know. It won't be a trailer for Patapon 1 and 2 replay coming to Switch. You know what's interesting? It's not landing on Xbox. You know what I mean? PlayStation's not even publishing it. Oh, they're not even publishing it? Yeah, if they're not even publishing it, they've licensed it out then. They're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. We don't freaking care. Just don't put it on Xbox. Do you still think PlayStation's going to let their games play on an Xbox PC hybrid? They licensed out Patapon 1-2 replay, and they're still like, but not Xbox though. They made Lego Horizon. They're like, yeah, but not Xbox though. and you think they're loaning the IP to Nintendo for 14 days. That's right, Brett. That's right. Oh my gosh. Hybrids are the future? What do you mean hybrids are the future? You trying to sell me a car? Hybrids are the future. Yeah. Cause that's how it works. I don't want like a really nice, strong, curated machine. I want a machine that's 8 things in one. I want a Swiss Army computer console handheld hybrid. That's what I want. He's talking about cars, surely. Yeah. Xbox needs to port the Ori games to PlayStation already. I think they are. I think they're looking into it. I think that's why they reached out to Moon Studios and inquired about Ori 3. I think they looked at the success of Ori 1 and 2, and they're probably greenlighting ports. And because they're greenlighting ports, they're like, hey, if we're going to do this, it'd be really great to dovetail this with an Ori 3 announcement, right? You announce Ori 1 and 2 coming to PlayStation, and a great way to get people excited about Ori 1 and 2 is to announce an Ori 3. Like everybody running to play Death Stranding 1 because the Death Stranding 2 trailer was so good. Like you can create interest in the older titles. So I think when Moon Studios came out and said that they had inquired about that, they also recently celebrated like how many copies of Ori have been sold lifetime. I think that the reason that was celebrated and looked at is because they're combing over their catalog and they're like, what would be a good candidate for a port to PlayStation? I mean, Indiana Jones and Forza are at the top of the sales charts on the PlayStation right now. And people are like, oh my gosh, look at these Xbox games selling so well. It's like, do you mean third-party published games sell well on PlayStation? Oh my gosh, surprise Pikachu face. I can't believe the platform that hasn't fostered an ecosystem and culture of non-purchase is buying games. It is such a shocking revelation. Oh, wow. This just did. The PlayStation user base buys games. I can't believe it. It shocked me right out of my chair. I had to pause my TV show that I was watching when I saw that. I was like, hold on, babe. People on PlayStation are buying games. That's a showstopper right there. I had no idea that consumer base behaved in that way. Yeah, it's just hard to believe. Stop buying games, people. It's disgusting. It is. It really is. Why are you giving money to these companies that provide you with entertainment? They're not used to it. It really is a self-report, isn't it, Trill? It really is. They're like, oh my gosh. Our game's at the top of a sales chart. Holy crap. It's not even out yet. It's not even out yet. They're used to saying, is it on Game Pass? I'll wait for it to be on Game Pass, right? That's what they're used to. It doesn't compute. They're like, top of the charts for pre-orders. Wow, what's that? Wow. This is such uncharted territory. This is such a new feeling. And it's going to happen. I mean, Doom the Dark Ages was up there too. It's going to have Doom will climb the closer we get and the more the marketing gets pushed out, you know. Yeah, suck it, ponies. Yeah, you guys buy lots of games. You losers that purchase stuff, you know. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. You with your disposable income and adult life. It's just you jerks with your spending power. Yeah. Oh my golly. Good golly. I pre-ordered Doom, but I'll pass on Indiana and Forza. Yeah, I'm not going to get Indiana Jones and Forza. I tried just for the lulz. I applied to get a key for Indiana Jones on PlayStation on Keymailer. I got like instantly rejected. It was within like 24 hours. Usually it takes a while, right? It's like a week or two or whatever. And it was like, it's no. And it was like, hey. I was like, hey, I played Indy day one on my Xbox, and I actually praised it. I was very positive. I was like, it's not for me. I was like, but it's a good looking game. It's one of their best. I think it's probably next to Forza and Hi-Fi. It's their best game this gen that they've released. And they're like, not him. Not him. It was literally within a day. I went back and checked, and it was like rejected. And I was like, whoa. I was like, that was fast. I was like, all right. And I obviously did not. I didn't care. I literally did it for the lulz. Because I told you guys, I was on record. I told you guys, I said, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to play it. It's not for me. You know, I don't think there's going to be a great reason to show it off. I mean, I'm sure it'll be PS5 Pro enhanced. It is, I'm sorry, PS5 Pro enhanced. But I don't think that's worth like showing off. Because it's already a gorgeous game on Series X. It's already a very good looking game. So I thought, well, if they give me a code, I'll do it. You know, I mean, that would have been just more free advertising for the game. All you had to do is give me a code. I'd have played it day one on the Pro and been like, yeah, shown it off and been like, this is what it looks like, lighting, blah, 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 whatever modes they've got. And, but I'm not gonna spend money on that game because I'm not gonna roll credits on it. Were there any games at the Direct that you wanted besides the Metroid and the X-Men? I mean, there are games in there that would certainly be fun to play with you guys for, like, the lulz and the laughs, you know, like the rhythm game and then, like, the one with all of the Miis running around. Yeah, I'm really waiting for Switch 2 because I'm hoping for a new Mario, a Mario Kart, maybe a Zelda. I'm really hoping for backwards compat on Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom to give me 60 FPS because I never finished Tears and I know it's a fantastic game. I think you'd actually enjoy the Marvel side-scroller. Oh, I absolutely loved Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge with my kiddos, and that Marvel game looked like it was in a similar vein, just like a harkening back to like the classic side-scroller arcade beat-em-up, you know? GT7 just got an update that makes the machine learning AI, Sophie, now playable in custom races, so if I want to play Eraser, it's going to be GT7 in VR. GT7 in VR is very, very nice. What's the plan for the rest of the day? We don't really have a plan for the rest of the day. I was going to play AI Limit, but it got obliterated on Metacritic, and it's like, it's not that people are saying it's bad. It has a bad score, but if you scroll through and read, there's just a bunch of 7s that are like, it's worth a look, maybe. It's just a lot of shrugging. And I was like, I'm not going to play a game that's getting such a very lukewarm, if not bad, response. So if it had a great score, I was going to check it out and be like, guys, we're swimming in games. Here's another game to check out. Not a great look for one of the first outings of the China the China Hero project. Now, it's not a PlayStation published game, so I don't know if maybe that's why it's not getting the praise that we would expect from a PlayStation published game. Like, if you look at PlayStation published games, whether you look at like Stellar Blade, Helldivers 2 and the like, they're typically at a pretty good quality. So I'm hoping that Lost Soul Aside lands stronger, because I actually think it's really important to have the China and the India Hero projects do well. I think we want to see those do well, because you're breaking into markets and meeting new customers. I think that's like really, really paramount to future success of these studios and their investment efforts. You don't want to see like one of your first outings get such a poor score. I don't know how it's faring with the users. Let's see here. PlayStation Store. It might be a little early to see how it's faring with the PlayStation users. It's got a 3.72, so it's off to a really bad start. Like I've told you guys before, the PlayStation users don't just hand out 5s willy-nilly, right? They don't. So this is basically, what is that, a 74? That's 74. That's not good. PlayStation gamers, when they leave reviews like this in the early hours of a game, that's a bad sign. Typically, once a game is below an 80, like it's below like a 4.0 on PlayStation, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to skip that. Because I find the users on PlayStation to be really, really reliable with respect to scores. And when people try to dismiss the user scores, I'm not really sure why they do that. I think they've got a pretty good barometer. It has a 54%. It has a 54% on Steam. So yeah, it's not doing too hot. AI limit, where AI stands for absolutely insane, and limit is how far you'll go before uninstalling. They didn't even make it an hour. It's about to AI my limit. They haven't even played it for what is that, like, goodness gracious, 10%? Was that? Anyways, 6 minutes or something like that. That not even an hour. 20 minutes. Okay, so 26 hours. Holy crap. If we go to all the negative reviews, game literally stuck at the second boss. So they might be having issues on the PC. There's no way to know. That's a bad first. It's not the first outing. It's not the first outing from China Hero. I believe one of the first outings was Fist Forged in Shadow. So Fist Forged in Shadow is already out. I believe Anno Mutationum was already out. Hardcore Mecha. I'm not sure how many of these are already out. Evo Tinction. Yeah, those games are already all out, I think. These ones are the one coming to market. Awaken Astral Blade's already out. So they've actually had some good outings already, I believe, because I believe Awaken Astral Blade did well on Steam. It has a 85 overall and a 92% recently, so maybe they patched some issues that were happening. Let's check it on the PlayStation Store. Awaken Astral Blade on the PlayStation Store has an 84%. So it looks like you're getting some agreement. You're getting some agreement from the PlayStation and the PC users on Awaken Astral Blade. I thought this one looked pretty good. I've got this one on my wish list. So it's like a 2D adventure indie RPG. I think it looks pretty solid. Good animations, good use of color and stuff. Excuse me. Yeah, I got this one on the backlog, along with a couple other 2D side scroller ones. So that one came out, and the Fist one came out. So yeah, AI Limit's not like one of the first. There's been some other ones. I think, didn't Evo Tinction come out? Or no, Evo Tinction's just been announced. No, Evo Tinction's out on PC. It's got an 88. I don't know if it's out on PlayStation, though. No, it is. It's got a 3.6, so that one didn't do all that great. Who was the publisher? See, the publisher there was Perpetual. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that the China Hero project, not all of these games are published by Sony. I thought these were all published by Sony, but they're not. So we'd have to go and double check and cross check all of these, because I thought for sure they were. And a $5 super chat tip from True SSJ Havoc. I just watched the direct just now. It was cool. I seen the Raidou games is another spin-off series for to drop the Shin Megami Tensei title like Persona. Yeah, we've seen, Fuzzy, that Best Buy Canada took down their blog post about Switch 2 pre-orders going up on April the 2nd. Also was told from another retailer the April 2nd pre-order info is an error. Yeah, I thought that was wrong. When you guys first put that in the Discord, I was like, I don't think that's right. I don't think you do your big announcement for the Nintendo Switch 2, like your direct, and then you're like, oh, pre-orders are live right now. Like, they usually have a date for pre-orders is typically how it goes. Oh, I forgot, Shadow Labyrinth looked really good from the direct. I really like the look of that one. Let's see if it can wishlist it on the PlayStation Store. Yes. That one comes out July 18th. I'm gonna wishlist that one now. Yeah, Shadow Labyrinth looks cool. That's the Pac-Man one. That I think looks pretty cool. Hang on. My wife's sending calendar invites. Oops. Close that. Okay. First Berserker Kazan's available worldwide today. I'm going to wishlist that one. Shadow Labyrinth is got an episode during Secret Level as well that was a pretty cool episode. All right, William here says, William usually has pretty good posts on this type of thing. A quick note on the PlayStation IP and the Switch. I would like to point out a few things to everyone who may be concerned about these 3 games going to the Nintendo Switch. First, notice that none of these games are coming to Xbox. Why? Because Xbox is a direct competitor with PlayStation, where Switch and PC are not. They are just indirect competition. Second, these games are just being published by Bandai Namco, not PlayStation. This means that the PlayStation IP is going to Switch will not be the big AAA first-party games like LEGO Horizon, MLB. Don't count because they're co-licensed. Third, these were dead IP. They were licensed out to the original developers in order to be republished. In fact, Patapon was such a dead IP that the original developers created their own spiritual successor called Ratatan that is not a PlayStation-owned IP. In these cases, Bandai Namco or the original developers usually reach out to PlayStation and ask if they can do something with the game if they pay a fee, since it's a dead IP and nothing is being done with it. Yeah, these are not. I mean, we guarantee there'll be thumbnails and headlines and tweets by the end of today. By the end of today and the end of the week that are like, it's going third, they're going third party. Damage control. I think if you think that's damage control, again, I can't help you. I can't help you see things differently. It's just not an equivalency at all. It's not even close. Isn't Mandragora coming out on all platforms? That was another one I wanted to... yes, Mandragora Whispers of the Witch Tree is on my wish list. Yeah, that one comes out April 17th. That one looks cool, too. That one's getting some tweets today from their official account. The Goldman game is also on PlayStation. What was the Goldman game? Oh, that was that platformer. What's it called? The Eternal Life of Goldman, was that it? Or is it a new one? Oh no, yeah, The Eternal Life of Goldman just announced. Yeah, I think that's it. THQ Nordic. Check my tag in Discord. Adamfall user reviews are looking pretty good everywhere except for Xbox. Is Adamfall on Game Pass? Why Adamfall is on Xbox Game Pass? I am telling you, that's not surprising. So Adamfall has a 4.3 on PlayStation, so that's an 86. It's got an 80% on Steam, and then it's got a 3.7 on the Xbox. So it's got a 74. It's basically got 10 points less. The same thing happened to Lies of P. The developers, you hope, are compensated enough to make up for the fact that it lowers their score. It really does. Game Pass, and listen, that's not a knock against Game Pass. It's evidence of one of the values of Game Pass, right? Like, I've said this many times, and often, I have people in chat that'll misunderstand what I'm saying, or they'll sort of misinterpret what I'm saying. A lower score for a game like Lies of P or Adamfall is evidence of one of the main value points of Game Pass. One of the main value points of Game Pass is you can try games that you ordinarily would not try. That will automatically lower a game's user score. It just will. It's also one of the reasons why, you typically see, at least I feel like you typically see this. I feel like you see the Steam scores trending lower as well, and I think sometimes that's because people are like, well, I'll try it, and if I don't like it, I'll uninstall. So that again is because you have people that are more prone to trying out games because they're like, well, I can always return it if I don't like it. So you're broadening your potential user base into people who may not like it. Now, Steam scores also tend to score lower because technical issues tends to crop up more in Steam games, and that's just, I think those things just naturally tend to pull scores down. Is it true that the last PS5 Pro update contained an update to PSSR? I've not seen anything about it. Silver Pines is my most anticipated game on Steam. There's another side-scroller shooter with a cyberpunk vibe coming too. For the life of me, I forgot the name. A side-scroller shooter with a cyberpunk vibe? All the Xbox channels are going to have a field day? I mean, listen, my frustration is not with the fact that people want to make content where there's sort of a clear bias and bend. My frustration is always with if you're misleading people, right? This is where I think it's hard, because I think there's categories. It's one thing to cheer for Xbox. It's one thing to be pro Xbox, right? I totally get that. You like them. Maybe you're really, you've been a long-time fan, or maybe you really still get a lot of benefits from Game Pass, and maybe you really like Phil Spencer or whatever the heck. I think one of the things I've been more critical of, which obviously gets you into hot water and people don't like when you do this, but I'm more critical of what feels like intentional obfuscation, misleading, astroturfing, twisting things, misrepresenting things, outright lying. That's the stuff that I feel like, okay, you're not, once you cross over into that, you're no longer cheering for a brand, you're misleading the public. I find that to be entirely different than just well, I'm going to sort of cheer for this side of the aisle. MSN posted an article about PSSR yesterday. Were they just catching up on the PSSR updating next year thing? Steven Totillo says, I'm still looking more into how this works and comparing it to the current model. Netflix comparison might be a bit off. Nintendo is about to have a new system out, and a lot of Switch households will soon have a second or third device. If nothing else, these measures seem to clarify how games will be shared among them. I received my cold drinks yesterday. Cream soda was really good. Have high hopes for the other. If you thought the cream soda was really good, you're going to really like the other ones, because I would say cream soda was fine. It was good. And then cherry soda, orange cream and the root beer are up at the top. They're taking what they learned from FSR4 and applying it to PSSR. Yeah, they may be talking about that. Oh, it must be something on my eyelash. I keep seeing something. I thought it was on my glasses. It's not their fault. They don't know what the long-term business strategy looks like because they're fans of a company that doesn't know what they're doing tomorrow. Do they export to UK? No, sadly, Sprecher does not ship to the UK. I don't ship my coffee to the UK either. Sadly, and this was before, there was even a situation going on with like tariffs and stuff. Sadly, like shipping to the UK is just ridiculously expensive, and it's just ridiculously expensive. So like you would spend, anywhere from $16 to $30 on my coffee, but then you would end up spending $50 to $60 on shipping. And I find that to be not good. I don't think that's a good use. And I know somebody's like, well, it's my money, I don't care. I don't feel right about that. I feel like that's, you handing $50 or $60 to the post office to buy $17 worth of coffee just feels completely backwards. We can't get root beer over here anymore. Oh, really? It's y'all's fault. Why'd you put the UK so effing far away? That's right. That's right. Paying for shipping is hard now. It is. International shipping tends to be really high for just about anything. Well, and we spent an entire afternoon trying to save you guys money. We spent an entire afternoon. Like, we were going through all the different shipping options, all the different potential, like, I was even looking into, like, well, maybe I could buy, boxes and we could use something like FedEx or we could use something like UPS and it would lower the price. And everything we did, there was just no way to do it that would save you money. I've always tried to price anything that we do. There was a time where we had like a hoodie, and because I wanted everybody to enjoy the hoodie and celebrate it, I set the commission on the hoodie to like $1. And I remember the people that ran the website, like, they triple checked with me, like, are you sure? They're like, you only want the commission set to $1? And I was like, yeah, I just want people to be able to buy it and enjoy it. I'm not trying to make money off it. The coffee's kind of similar. We've tried to keep the coffee very competitively priced, and I've been told that we don't charge enough, and I'm like, I don't feel like charging any more for it. I don't think that's a price point that Replaced. Yeah. Replaced looks awesome. I don't know if I would describe Replaced as a side scroller shooter though. I was going to say Replaced, but I didn't because I thought, yeah, that's not a shooter. Shipping is not a problem when you buy in bulk. 4th of July, F this up. First now tea, coffee, and finally soda. The MSN article is regarding the new PSSR coming to AC Shadows. According to Ubisoft, it looks much better. Oh, they've not implemented that yet, though. They've not implemented that. So they have found a way to make PSSR look even better than their current TAA solution. So currently what they're doing is they're not actually using PSSR. They're using some form of anti-aliasing. What's the T stand for? What's the T stand for? Temporal. I thought it was temporal. I was going to say that. So they're using a form of temporal anti-aliasing, and they have found that the whatever updates and work, they actually worked with Sony to figure this out. And now PSSR looks better than their TAA solution. So yeah, it's tinnitus anti-aliasing. Yeah. The Game Informer site's fully up and running, and you can look at all the digital articles. Yeah, I saw that. So I don't think they pushed that out yet, though. I think they were just doing an interview about it. Now we're counting players. UB Plus exists as always. Yeah, you guys are just so not understanding, right? Like, the difference between Ubisoft celebrating players in AC Shadows and when Xbox celebrates players is because Xbox was celebrating players in like Starfield, and you were only on 2 platforms, and we know that we know the number of people. It was like, what, 20 something million at the time. 20 million people could play it on Game Pass, and Satya Nadella celebrated the fact that it was the single highest sign up for Game Pass before that was broken by Black Ops 6. So that's an enormous cultural difference. It's an enormous cultural difference. The same people that were like, oh, they're only talking about player numbers. They're only talking about player numbers. They must not be getting sales. It must be people on UB Plus. First and foremost, Ubisoft does not promote UB Plus to the degree that Xbox promoted Game Pass for the last 10 years. Okay? And the same people that kept pointing to that were the same people that kept looking at the Steam concurrent numbers, and then we come to find out that only 27% of the sales were on Steam, and that the vast majority were on console. Which again, these people have just been quick to run to any predetermined conclusion they can. They're like, well, they're only showing us player numbers because it's not selling. They just said to the public, and they're a publicly traded company, so they could get in serious trouble for saying this if it's not true. They just said to the public it was the second highest day one revenue generation in the franchise history. And Jack Garland with a 5 bomb. Thank you so much, Jack. And he gets us a 10 bomb away from me owing you guys a 20 bomb. At 325, I owe you guys 20 members. You guys have cracked off today. Thank you so much. Equating Game Pass with Ubisoft Plus is dumb. Game Pass dwarfs UB Plus by multiple magnitudes. That's exactly right. Like, we don't know the number of subscribers on UB Plus. I don't think they've ever said that anywhere. How many people subscribe to Ubisoft Plus? And a VIP from Jazster. Thank you so much. That gets us to 316. So while precise Ubisoft subscriber numbers aren't released, Ubisoft stated that they've seen millions of players since launch, and they reached the highest monthly active users in October of 2023, so like 2 years ago. They've never released the numbers. So millions of players. 9% of video game subscription users in the United States use Ubisoft Plus. That means of the 46% who know the brands, 20% use them, according to Statista. According to TrueAchievement.com survey, 90% of the people won't subscribe to Ubisoft Plus on Xbox. People were taking like a survey about whether or not they would sign up for it. I'm telling you, I do not think the vast majority of people playing Assassin's Creed are playing it on UB Plus. I don't think so. Tomorrow's Nintendo Direct will showcase video games releasing on Nintendo hardware. Confirmed. Legit gaming leaks, yeah. I love that account. How does he do it? That is one of the best accounts out there. UB Plus is an $18 pre-sign-up. A game sale is $49 digital. It's not a massive difference. I don't think you draw a line because of the amount using it. I also want to watch these people shift the supposed Shadows dev costs from 250 to 400 to 700 to 800 million at each milestone. The sales numbers are going to come out. Like, again, I don't know. Ubisoft has certainly been making bad choices with what I would consider and I label production line gaming. But I don't think they would come out and just flat out lie about it's the second highest revenue generating game in the history of the franchise on day one. It's a record high for It's a record high for PSN. I don't think so. I don't think they would do that, because if none of that's true, they're going to be in real deep doo-doo with their shareholders, because their shareholders are obviously seeing these reports and like, oh, that's coming directly from Ubi. PlayStation doesn't have access to that tier of Ubi Plus that offers day-and-date games. So if PlayStation is the overwhelming majority of the sales of the 73%, it means 73% of all the players paid full price for the game. Most game on Ubi Plus are already on Game Pass. I would, based on what they said in the record they said on PSN, yeah, I would say most of their sales came from PlayStation. Every 3 subservice signups is above a single game sale in revenue. I don't think they were, I don't even remember seeing them pushing it in any of the advertisement. I would have normally just bought the deluxe version of AC Shadows, and when I realized a year was like $106 big annual discount, and I could cross-platform on PC and X both, that I really enjoyed having access to both platforms. You can't get Shadows from Ubi Plus. Kazan over Shadows? They're not even the same type of game. I mean, if you prefer one over the other, that's fine, but they're very different games. They do push it on the marketing. Can you show me a single Assassin's Creed Shadows trailer that did that? Like, if I go to YouTube and look up all of these AC Shadows trailers, PlayStation only has the Ubisoft Classics. So the largest console platform and the largest amount of sales is literally on the platform where you can't play it. On Ubi Plus is what you guys are telling me. Launch trailer. The end card. I mean, I would not consider this to be strong marketing. I would not. Ubisoft Plus up in the corner? That just looks like a logo. That's not even saying anything. Buy now is right here, up here in the corner. Ubisoft Plus? That's not even advertising it. I go to the landing page to play. Now, obviously, you've got this right here where you could sign up right now for Ubi Plus, right? And then you got this right here. So they are marketing it here, but the trailer itself, the click-through rate on stuff like this is so low. We know this from our own internal reporting on YouTube. Your click-through rate on these clicks is so bad. Typically, people are going to buy. The lion's share of the people buying are going to go to the storefront of the place where they play. So, yeah, you could argue and say, yeah, but anybody coming here is going to pick Ubisoft Plus. They're going to pick this. Dude, I don't know. $18 a month is pretty dadgum steep to be like, oh, I'm going to sign up for a subscription service to play this game. I don't know, dude. It depends on the consumer. I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. That's a pretty steep price for a subscription service when you could just buy the game. Ubi Plus does not work on PlayStation. How is it steep? It's just Ubisoft. That's not PS Plus. That's not Game Pass. That's not Amazon or Disney. It's just Ubisoft. That's a single publisher's subscription service, and it's almost $20 a month. Game Pass Ultimate's $20. For $18, I get Ubi Plus? Are you kidding me? That's high for a single company, basically. I'm just buying their stuff. I'm not buying. There's nobody else on there. It's not like I'm getting access to other third-party games. Yeah, I've seen the landing page where they compare the editions for sure, and they've got Ubi Plus on there. Again, my gut tells me they are not seeing high conversions with Ubi Plus because of games like this. I just don't think so. So listen. All data points to subscription signups slowing down and plateauing, and you expect me to believe a big title like this comes out and people are like, I'm not going to buy the game. I'm going to sign up for Ubi Plus at $18 a month. Let's just grant the premise that people did that. wouldn't that then therefore mean that the game is a strong enough motivator and is in demand enough to motivate people to sign up for a brand new subscription service? Didn't we celebrate that for Starfield? Didn't everybody say Starfield caused Game Pass to have its single largest new user signups in one day? Didn't you attribute that to demand for the product? It was super popular. Everybody wanted to play it. And then I said the game that was going to beat it is Black Ops 6. And we all know that the demand for Black Ops 6 was incredibly high, which resulted in the single highest amount of Game Pass signups in a single day. So even if I grant the premise that UB Plus got a bunch of people to sign up because of AC Shadows, aren't you inadvertently arguing that the game is in high demand and people want to play it? There's no argument here to claim that the game did poorly or flopped. I just don't think so. Even if they come out and say that they saw record high numbers of UB Plus signups, that's still in line with other record signups that we've seen for both Black Ops 6 and Starfield. You would say, well, that's a game that's in high demand. I've never tried to argue that Starfield was not in high demand and was not super popular. The dadgum game took over the entire news cycle. It was the single most talked about game the year that it came out. I've always talked about the user score because in the aftermath, it was very clear that that game did not land well with the users. I've got a video coming tomorrow about how AC Shadows, it's not a flop and it's not a failure. And I argue the differences between that. Like a flop would be like, yeah, it commercially sucked and nobody bought it. Failure would be, yeah, the users didn't like it. It's checking both boxes. And I argue that in the video. You'll have to check that video out tomorrow. That's what I'm saying. 18 from people who would never have even played the game or tried it is better than nothing. For sure, like that doesn't mean that the game is 3 million players. It's a bunch of people on UB Plus. Oh, so you mean to tell me that there are 3 million people that were either wanting to play the game so bad they signed up for UB Plus, or they bought the game at full price, or they were already on UB Plus and they dove in within the first week. So what you're saying is it's a really popular game. That's what you're telling me. Who cares how they got into the game? You're essentially conceding the point that Assassin's Creed Shadows is so popular, they got 3 million people in some way or another to dive into their game week one. And what was the stat they trotted out? Like 40, what was the hours? Where's that tweet? Somebody put it in the Discord. And 40 million hours played. 40 million. So just take 40 and divide it by 3. That means each person has played for roughly 13 hours. Come on, man. That's a really, really good average. You got people averaging double-digit hours after 1 week. Nobody's picking it up and putting it down right away. Well, it sucks. Like if you're getting those kind of play hours. Member light renewal from Stormkiller for 23 months and a member light renewal from Angel for 28 months. Thank you guys so much. If you want to count towards the goal, you need to upgrade to Member Plus or VIP. Member lights, I can't tell if you're on a gifted membership or not, and we can't count those twice. What was the game where the publisher said it didn't beat our expectations and people said that it didn't meet their expectations? There was the Final Fantasy game where they said it didn't hit their high. There was like they used an expression. Like it hit their expectations sales-wise, but it didn't hit they had like a higher, you have like your conservative, your low end, and then your high end, and it didn't hit their high end expectations, and everybody claimed and lied and said that the game fell below expectations. Not surprising, it was a PlayStation exclusive, and they all lied about it. I'm so shocked that the gaming press and pundits and YouTubers and bloggers lied about a game that was exclusive to PlayStation with respect to its commercial sales, and then when the facts came out, not a single one of those people published a retraction. Assassin's Creed is a circa live service with regular content, therefore paying for a monthly subscription series makes no sense, especially if you like those games. I heard 10 million sales was the AC goal. Is that true? I don't know if they said that, but since lifetime sales of Origins was 10 million, lifetime sales of Odyssey was over 10 million, they were both over 10 million, and then Valhalla's well above that, they were probably targeting the AC Origins Odyssey sales threshold. Why? Well, because they acknowledged in an internal email that Valhalla was a perfect storm, and they did not expect to match it. That's actually a good thing, by the way. When you have executive level people that are smart enough to know we're not going to replicate what we did in 2020 because the pandemic served up a perfect storm of people buying and playing video games, right? So that's actually a good sign, honestly. That's an encouraging sign for the team that worked on this game, that the executives weren't these dumb, brain-dead guys that were like, oh, well, we did that much with Valhalla, we better do that much with AC Shadows. That would be stupid. Executive level people are known for being that dumb. They're like, oh, well, you sold that much in December for Christmas. Why aren't you selling that much in January? Get the frick out of here, Ted. Nobody wants to talk to you, right? Like, executive level people can be very stupid about like that. They just always expect you to match what you did last time or exceed what you did last time. They acknowledged internally that was never going to happen. That's not PR. That's not spin. That's just sensible to know you are not going to match what happened in 2020. It just isn't going to happen. A 2 spot from M's Odyssey. Sign up for 1 month, beat the game, then unsubscribe. Sure, plenty of people might do that. That doesn't mean that the game wasn't in high demand or didn't generate a bunch of revenue for the company. It was the second highest revenue generation for day one within the franchise history. A 10 spot from Easy E. Even with Ubi shilling this game everywhere in front of every digital storefront, large Twitch accounts posting blatant ads online, the market is pricing the flop. Look at their year-to-date share value. Oh my gosh. You understand that their share value is not even remotely related to the commercial success of this game. You know that, right? Please tell me that you didn't just tip me $10 to tell us all that you don't understand how share value works. Like, Assassin's Creed Shadows is not directly impacting the share value of Ubi. Ubi is in a weakened state in the market. They're courting purchasers. They're trying to sell IP, and you think their share price is where it is because of AC Shadows. Come on, man. Come on. I'm going to have to do it. Ubisoft share. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to have to do this to you. So in the last 2 months, this has been the behavior of their share value, okay? So all the way back here in September, all the way down to a depressed state of $2.24, right? And it goes down, 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 down. And what, pray tell, do you think happened before March? What do you think happened? Why do you think it's actually back up from the floor all the way down here? Do you see? Like, yeah, you can do this like all these idiot grifters do. They're like, oh, look, yeah, AC Shadow, No. Zoom out on the share value. Zoom all the way out on the share value. Like, this is an absolute downfall of a company's share value. This has absolutely nothing to do with AC Shadows. This whole stretch down here, this has nothing to do with Shadows, dude. They're quite literally at a global level in a depressed and vulnerable state right now. It has nothing to do with AC Shadows. If anything, AC Shadows is probably the reason that in the last 6 months, right? AC Shadows is probably one of the reasons there is a bit of a climb here. I mean, not by much. I mean, we're talking like not even $1 in share value, right? We're talking about like 70 cents. But still, share price is a reflection of investor expectations and future returns. Right. So there's a bit of a bump before AC Shadows, probably because people were like, hey, it's the internal pre-orders are actually looking quite good. This might actually be not too bad. It's also probably related to the fact that they're courting investors and people are thinking like, hey, once they get purchased, if they devalue themselves, lower operating costs after that purchase, share value and operating costs and returns will probably go up because annual ROI will increase if they lower their operating costs. They got almost 20,000 employees. So there could be investors right now kind of gearing up for the purchase because they're anticipating good returns by the end of this year if Tencent or somebody else comes in and buys them. Like if they start selling off IP, shuttering studios, so they bring down their operating costs, they increase their valuation as a company, your share value is going to go up because your returns are going up. But none of this is even related to AC Shadows at all. Like, oh, well, AC Shadows isn't selling well enough because look at their share value. Incredibly ironic. Break down what he said is wrong. Who? Are you talking to Easy E says, Lono is a great gaming commentator, but he doesn't understand market fundamentals. Lono, I have a Series 6 and I analyze companies' PEs and fundamentals for a living. Well, I would never come to you for financial advice then. I would never let anybody know that you just tipped a YouTuber $10 to claim that AC Shadows isn't doing well commercially because of the share value of Ubisoft, a globally traded company with 20,000 employees. I would never let anybody know what you've done here today. Good golly. I don't even have a degree in this, and I understand that when a company has had this level of share devaluation, you can't go to AC Shadows microcosmically and be like, yeah, look what's happening. Their share value has been down in the hemisphere of $2 since September of 2024. They've been in a downward spiral. If you go 5 years, their share value was at $20 all the way back there in 2021, right? Big surprise as 2021 started coming to an end. They just went like this, as did many companies who mushroomed up, inflated up, operating costs ballooned because they were responding to 2020 and 2021, and in the wake of an absolute downward spin of just like, oh my gosh, we're not getting the same returns, we're not getting the same amount of revenue, we got to downsize, we got to lay people off, we got to get operating under control. Everybody did that. You can literally see it right here. You can see like, whoop, yeah, everybody's eating real good, and then we turn into 2021 and like, none of that has anything to do with AC Shadows. Investors look at market sentiment based on year-to-date or fiscal activity. They look at all their products up for release in specific fiscal year to determine future stock value. So do I need to explain to you that Ubisoft hasn't had an earnings call yet? So there's absolutely no way that AC Shadows is having an impact on perceived share value and perceived return of investment from shareholders since they actually don't have the financials yet? How are you in finance? I don't understand. How are you in finance? And I'm having to tell you how this works. They don't know it yet. The shareholders don't know yet. They haven't been told. They haven't had an earnings call yet. When they have an earnings call and all the reporting comes out, then you'll see AC Shadows have an impact on what they think about fiscal return. They don't know the internal data yet. It hasn't been officially reported. When it gets reported to the shareholders, that's public knowledge because they're publicly traded. So right now, if you own shares in Ubi, you would know how well the game's doing because it's public. You would need to be able to know that. Like, they don't know yet. It hasn't been made public. You can't keep it secret and be like, yeah, it's doing bad. We better get rid of our shares. That's like insider trading. They don't know what's happened yet with AC Shadows. Also, the perceived value of Ubisoft and the perceived value of a share in Ubisoft right now is 100% intrinsically linked to whether or not they get purchased by Tencent or sell off the IP, do divestitures, or just shut studios down to get operating costs under control. Their actual share value linked to AC Shadows is actually not a one-to-one considering the situation that they're in. They're literally courting purchasers and they're trying to sell IP. To be fair, says Zubair, the market will incorporate expectations into the price, even lacking hard data. Hard data then corrects the value. Right, and AC Shadows is more than likely not having as near of an impact on perceived share value and perceived potential return of investment this fiscal year. What's probably impacting that even more is whether or not they sell the company or sell the IP. Trevor says, just discovered your channel. Love hearing truth from people. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. If we look at the history of the stock when Ubi released big games, how did that impact the stock price? I don't know. The reason we can't really make that comparison, Zubair, is when has Ubisoft been in this position before where they're courting potential purchasers? Like, that completely changes the equation. They're speculating future stock value on how their product may potentially perform. Have you heard the term buy the rumor, sell the news? Market makers have made calls on Ubi based on projections. Right, but you're completely ignoring the glaring giant elephant in the room. The current rumor and the current speculation is that Tencent wants to buy them, but Guillemot wants to maintain control of the company. Also, we heard that they were considering selling IP to EA and Microsoft, which is a problem because that wasn't divulged to shareholders. So Ubi's perceived share value and potential return on this fiscal year has very little to do with AC Shadows. There is a gigantic situation going on, and you're trying to act like, oh, well, the stock value hasn't gone up, so the game must be flopping and failing. The frick? Those projections aren't based solely on Shadows, which was the original point. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. I'm just trying to figure out if there's any evidence of any correlation exists. I've never looked into it. You know what? I'm going to use ChatGPT deep research. Be right back. It's just an indicator. They lost near $450 million in 2022 to 2023. Assassin's Creed is Ubi's only IP, and I'm sure that they generate no other income from any other source. If anything, if you look at the news cycle and you look at their shares and you look at their share value is probably far more impacted by somebody claiming that they were courting EA and Microsoft to sell IP and they didn't tell their shareholders. That's probably causing people to panic a little and be skittish or hedge their bets. That's probably causing people to dump. They're like, I'm getting a frick out of this sinking ship. They're also at a very low price right now, so you'll see people dive in right before a potential purchase, because once they get purchased, typically what happens is the company will gut. They'll remove redundancies, they'll lower operating costs, and their annual return goes up. So you'll see a bunch of people buy in right before they feel like Tencent or anybody else potentially buys the company, because they know that return's probably going to be pretty good. This is the biggest red flag. Even when doing well, they really didn't make much of a profit per year. The total net income generated by Ubisoft from 2004 to 5 to 2023 to 2024 is 440 million euros, 447 euros, 20 years, and they only made 447 million is nothing for that size of a company. Right, and that's exactly why I've continued to say that their operating cost is the main culprit. Their operating cost is so enormous and so bloated, they had a couple of misses and it destroyed them. It's like all of a sudden they were in a terrible spot. They had a couple duds, a couple delays, and they're sitting here thinking, what the frick are we going to do? We got almost 20,000 employees. Well, that's what production line gaming gets you. You know, you get Skull and Bones, Money Pit that doesn't return. You get Avatar, you get Star Wars. The royalty share on those probably absolutely murdered their return, because the royalty share with Avatar and a Star Wars piece of property's got to be high, which means if it didn't sell well, you're not sitting very strong. And so now they're in this situation where people are like, well, AC Shadows isn't going to save Ubisoft. Well, when in the frick was that AC Shadows job? Like, when did that become the responsibility of Assassin's Creed Shadows to save a 20,000 employee company? When was it Assassin's Creed Shadows' job to fix a stock value that's been in a free fall for like 4 years? So, the share value's been dropping for 4 years, all the way down to the floor of like $2.20 from $20. And you're like, yeah, AC Shadows isn't doing well because look at the stock value. Oh my gosh, that's so reductionist. I really don't get people being mad that Sony isn't leaving their IP dead. Like, who wouldn't kill to see Nintendo license out IP like F-Zero, Earthbound? There are people upset about that? Why does anybody care? It's clear that if Ubisoft wants to increase their value, they need to make a Rhythm Heaven game. That's right. When has any game ever had that responsibility? Let's see. February the 28th. Yeah, you guys want to see something really interesting? Let's just do a little study here. Here's Capcom. Here's Capcom. Okay. Monster Hunter Wilds. Record sales that keep getting cited by the grifters. They keep citing Monhun. Look what happened. Here's February 26th. Here's February 28th. And then look what happened in the wake of the game launching. Isn't that interesting? It's so interesting that like an insanely commercially successful game, like record-breaking commercially successful game, and yet somehow Capcom's share value dropped in the wake of its release. I don't know why that happened. I'm not even saying that Monhun's responsible for that. But don't you think it's a little weird that one of the most commercially successful games this year launched, and literally in the wake of its launch, they went from $12.50 down to $11.50. Their share value dropped by $1. So why would you look at Ubisoft and think that, well, AC Shadows must not be selling well because look at the share value? What Monhun Wild sold like a stupid amount of copies. Now, it's come back up. It's come back up. Let's be fair. It has. It's come back up. 11. It's come back up. Back up to 1282. But look, even before Monhun was about to come out, look at this. Look at this. February 25th. Like right before the game's about to go on sale, all of a sudden, kaboom, it just drops like a straight line dollar from $13.50 to $12.50. This is what I'm saying to you. You can't look at the share value of companies this size and draw any strong correlative data when you look at like, oh, yeah, AC Shadows must not be selling well. Look at UB's share value. You could have thought the same thing about Monster Hunter Wilds, and you'd be incredibly wrong. You'd be incredibly wrong. You'd be like, right before it came out, a drop. Right after it came out, another drop. I guess Monhun Wilds isn't selling well. And you would have been incorrect in saying that. It's simple. People buy in for the hype and they sell off because of the price. Right, like, that's why you can't look at any of this stuff microcosmically. It's like, well, that's not going to help. Look at the chart yearly and compare it to Ubi. Yes, Ubi has been in a free fall, and it's not because of AC Shadows. Because when we looked at Ubisoft shares and we looked at when their drop started, look, Ubisoft has been down since 2021, homie. If you're going to try to attribute this is January and February 2021, and they have been an absolute free fall basically for 4 years. You want to attribute any of this to AC Shadows? There are so many games along the way that led to this, whether it's Skull and Bones, Avatar, Star Wars Outlaws, like the marketing spend on Outlaws especially, the frickin' royalty share that they probably had to do with those games, and the fact that they've been courting purchasers and saying, well, we don't want to be purchased and we want to maintain control. That shakes the confidence of anybody looking at the company and owning shares. What are you doing? You just keep launching flop after flop after flop. And why am I going to sit here and hold on to my shares? How long have they been marketing AC Shadows? You're ignoring Skull and Bones, Avatar, Star Wars Outlaws, mainline news that they've been courting potential purchasers like Tencent that they want to sell, but they don't really want to sell. They want to sell and maintain control, and Tencent's balking for that reason. Tencent's like, we don't want to buy you and leave you in control. X-Defiant. I'm telling you, it is an absolute grift to act like Ubi's share value is attached to AC Shadow's success, marketing, and public response. Now, yes, you could say the initial marketing of AC Shadows and the negative reception and the downvoting on YouTube and the hate campaign, it probably had an effect on their share value when it dropped from like 4 down to 2, because people were like, man, this was supposed to be their big return to glory and people seem to hate it. I'm going to get rid of my shares now because I don't think AC Shadows is going to do very good. I'll grant you that point, that when the marketing of AC Shadows hit, and it like absolutely got negative reception, there were people that are like, dude, I'm dumping my shares. AC Shadows isn't going to sell well. And that dropped it down to 2. It's been down in the $2 range since September of last year, brother. It's been $2.50 since September of last year with very little fluctuation. That tells me nobody's dumping shares right now, or the value of the stock right now is related to the commercial success of the game, which was your original claim, which I believe was just falsified in glorious vision. Like, look at what we just did to your claim. On the ground in tatters. On the ground in tatters. What hurt their share value was the marketing, the public response. Your original claim was share value communicates a lack of commercial success. That's been falsified handedly. If since September of last year, they hit $2.50, and look at this line. They've been hanging out at $2.50 that entire time. None of that indicates a lack of commercial success on AC Shadows. It doesn't. They dropped. Market confidence is bad. They're in a depressed state. They're courting purchasers, and they dropped to $2.50 and they've stayed there. So your original claim was falsified. I'm not even a finance guy, and it's easy to see this. I missed a super chat. Hang on. A $5 super chat from Street Shadow. Grifter Game of the Year, Stock Market Watcher 2025. They really liked the anti-DEI expansion. For some in chat, this is sarcasm. Thank you so much, Street Shadows. And 5 gifted members from VE Game Veteran gets us to 321. We're 4 members away from me having to drop a 20 bomb of members. Public response equals sales performance. Oh my gosh, I would never come to you for financial advice. Holy crap, you just typed that. Public response equals sales performance. Sure, Jan. Sure. Yep. Yeah. Their second highest revenue generating Assassin's Creed in franchise history, and you're claiming that public response to trailers is equal to sales performance. Good golly. Good golly, you're in the long line of work. That is not true. A 5 bomb from Sir Lightning Storm. Thank you so much. And now I owe you guys a 20 bomb. That's an Agent of Chaos, by the way. Thank you so much for getting us to 326. Homie, I'm here to tell you. Listen to me. What you just said is so incredibly incorrect. It's so incredibly incorrect. Public response does not equal sales performance. Look at how the game is doing. It's got a great score on PlayStation, a good score on Xbox and Steam. The public response is clear. It's crystal clear. People downvoting on YouTube is not equal to sales. Those are talking points? What you're saying is false. Am I seeing this right? Less than 1 month after Reforge joined YouTube, Ubisoft began its cratering downfall. Lono joined in December of 2020, and that was the big decline. It's my fault. Public response equals performance. LOL. Hogwarts Legacy says hi. I'll be the first one here demanding an apology when the sales are eventually disclosed. Oh my gosh. That's adorable. You think I'm going to apologize to you? They already said it was listen to me now. They're a publicly traded company. Do you have any idea the legal trouble that they could be in if what they said wasn't true? It was the second highest revenue generation day one in the history of the franchise. And you think that that the game hasn't sold well? You can move on. We'll circle back when Ubi discloses the numbers. Right, but here's the problem. You need to outline what you would consider failure. Read my question in my super chat when you can. What are you talking about? I didn't see a super chat from you. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Perfect Image. It was before Street Shadow. When Xbox has Ubisoft Plus, but Sony players get Ubisoft Classics. Plenty of great games, so who cares? Enjoy your rentals while we play real exclusives. That doesn't really land on the discussion. That's not what we were talking about. Like, you're console warring in the midst of a discussion about AC Shadows. Like, I want to know, what do you deem a failure? Are you going to pull out, like, the mythical, if it didn't sell this many copies, it's a failure number like people did with Astrobot? Or do you have, like, an actual metric of success and failure that you're applying here? Like, what's your metric of success and failure? What would make you say that you were wrong? And what would make you say that you were right? That needs to be outlined before they reveal the numbers, because you could take anything they say and interpret it in some weird way to be like, oh yeah, they failed. Wait till games recoup all their revenue up front during their first week of sales? Or are they supposed to have a trail? I don't know the financials of when they hope to recoup their revenue, whether it's up front. I do know the bulk of sales typically, this is typical, this is not every game, typically you get the most sales within the first month, within the first 2 to 4 weeks. Some games are different. Some games go viral. Like Helldivers had an inverse sales curve that we had never really seen before. Like Matt Piscatella talked about that. Like he talked about the fact that typically around this time you see the sales curve down and the sales curved upwards. It was an inverse curve that we typically don't see. So it's not uniform, but generally speaking, by your second or third week, things slow down and you've made the bulk of your sales. ROI? Okay. So everything I've been talking about, and this is why you're not going to get an apology from me, because everything I've been talking about is we have crystal clear signs that the game has been a commercial success. It has sold well. It's being received well by the consumers. Ubisoft got what they wanted. They wanted the game to land in a certain hemisphere, and it's landing there. It's landing above or at Odyssey levels. It's landing above Origins, but it's below Valhalla. And they are satisfied with that. If they have internally communicated they're satisfied with that, stop believing the grift. That's not some PR move where they're like, our game sucks and it's failing, we better send this frickin' email. No. If you look at the user scores, if you look at the player numbers on Steam, if you look at the sales reports, that like only 27% of the sales were on PC, meaning the lion's share, 83% were on console. That actually shows clear signs of success. If you're going to try to run to some ROI thing where, UB executives over-budgeted market spend or mushroomed up the budget too high and their ROI is not that great, I've never frickin' given a crap about the ROI of AC Shadows. I always said the game's going to sell better than people expect. It's topping pre-order charts. It held in the top sellers on Steam for almost a week. It was in like the top 3, and it's going to get good user response. All of those things have come true. And if your only comeback is, but the cost to make it, but the production cost, but the ROI though, I don't give a frick about that. That's not what any of the dialogue was about. That's not what any of the dialogue about AC Shadows was. There wasn't a single grifter, rage baiter, loser out there who made a video that was like, yeah, the ROI on AC Shadows isn't going to be very good. It's going to be razor thin because they tend to over budget and overspend as a company and blah, blah, blah. No, nobody was saying that. They were saying, go woke, go broke. It was going to fail. It was going to flop. People don't want this. People don't like this. Stop making games like this with the message in it. Nobody wants this. And yet here the game sits with perfectly great, solid numbers everywhere we look. So we're going to shift the goalposts to, well, we're going to look at the fine print of the ROI on the total budget spend of the game, because marketing spend and an inflated budget of a game that's been in production for how long at a company that tends to overspend and tends to bloat things and has 20,000 employees, that's how we're going to claim that AC Shadows didn't do well. Well, I hope it makes you feel good, because gamers don't give a frick about any of that. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares to spreadsheet crunch a game to see if it was successful. Now, yes, I have always said, I want developers to make buckets of cash. I want developers to make a ton of money. Why? Well, because they reinvest, they grow, they expand, and then I get better product in the future. So yes, as an analyst, as a commentator, as a YouTuber, as a gamer who's more plugged in, I certainly don't want to see AC Shadows not get good ROI, but that was never what the conversation was about. The conversation was never about whether or not AC Shadows would have good ROI and if their budget wasn't bloated. It was, it'll flop, go woke, go broke, no one wants this crap. That's what everybody kept saying. And they have been absolutely shattered into a million pieces. They have no comeback. They have no retort. The game is doing well. The gaming populace at large does not agree with these grifting losers on Twitter. All you got to do is look at the ratio of the Assassin's Creed replies, and it's like, you can clearly see the gaming community at large does not agree with these morons, and the one guy's even paying for likes. Why? Because there's not some grassroots majority that agrees with him. It's some small pocket of angry dudes who hate everything that's landing in this lane. And so they jump on videos and they downvote and they yell and they scream. And then the game comes out and does fine. Like Kingdom Come Deliverance. They went after it. They failed. That game crushed and everybody loved it. Monhun Wilds, Split Fiction, and now AC Shadows. These guys are reeling. They are spinning out because there's nothing left for them to grab. It's like we just took aim at 4 big games that are all doing very well, both from a critical reception, technical praise, commercial reception, and consumer response. They're all doing very, very well. So what are you going to do? You got to come up with these weird concocted conspiracies that like, well, the Assassin's Creed Shadows account is paying for likes and they're actually only bragging about the player numbers because more people are playing on Ubisoft Plus. And, well, look at the Steam chart numbers. If you compare the Steam chart numbers to Dragon Age Veilguard, and Dragon Age Veilguard failed to meet its expectations, and that means this game failed to meet expectations. And it's like, yeah, but if 73% of the sales came from console, your Steam charts don't mean anything, which is what I said from moment one. It's literally a slow motion car crash. It's a slow motion car crash. We have watched these narratives absolutely just fall into pieces on the ground. It's like, oh, I thought the game was gonna flop. Flops failed ROI. Am I wrong? No, flop is not failed ROI. When we use the term flop, nobody's talking about ROI. We're saying no one's going to buy it, it's not going to sell well. A game can sell well and have a stupidly large budget because some executive made bad decisions. And you wouldn't say, oh, well, it flopped. You would say, well, no, you had an executive making idiotic decisions and so it failed to make a return. That's a financial analysis. Flop is far worse than poor ROI. Yeah, flop is like Concord. That's a flop. I mean, it literally flopped. Just boom, fell on its face. Like the word flop indicates like you tripped and fell and flopped. I mean, it is abysmal. It's not like, well, yeah, it sold really well and tons of people played it and tons of people liked it, but they overspent on the budget. Like, you can have a flop and it sells copies. I'll tell you what. This is what we're going to do. You define things however the frick you want. Whatever makes you feel good, just do it. 2 + 2 = 5. A game with millions of players and great scores is a flop. Do and say whatever the frick you want. Because I don't care. I don't. You can define a flop any way you want. Whatever makes your pillow softer and your blankets cozier, whatever makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside, go for it. Go for it. But you suspect. If you constantly have to change the way that we define things and we constantly have to shift the goalpost, you suspect. You lack integrity. You're not being honest. If you keep having to shift things around to claim that this one particular game did bad, we have never, and I mean never, we have never done this with a game before. I have never sat here and looked at a game with millions of players and incredible scores and great technical breakdowns and seemingly praise from almost all corners and been like, yeah, but it flopped though, and it didn't do good, and it failed, and the ROI though, and they won't tell us the numbers though. I've never had to do this with a single game. Never. Did we ever talk about Astrobot's ROI? No. We talked about attachment, and people tried to say it wasn't successful, and I was like, I'm pretty sure internally they're very happy with it because of, the cost of operating and then the return. They don't expect that, right? They don't expect that. They didn't expect, what we were talking about there was quantity of sales and expectations for games are different, which actually applies here. I think it applies here. I think they said, and they internally said, they expected and hoped for this game to land exactly where it's landing. It's landing in the hemisphere of Origins and Odyssey. I think they take that as a success. I do. You want to talk about an impending lawsuit? If they're out here as a publicly traded company giving assurances that the game has sold well internally, which then is then reported publicly, if they're doing that and then it didn't do well, and it actually isn't selling well, buddy, you're talking about some serious legal repercussions. I don't think you can do that. I like a worked up and passionate Lono. Great debate. I mean, I appreciate it. You stayed here and you stayed respectful and you held to your guns. I always appreciate and respect somebody that's going to do that. But I'm here to tell you, I've never had to do this with another game. When it happened with Starfield, what did we do? We looked at it holistically. It had it had good review scores. They're bragging about player numbers. And then we looked at the user scores. And I was like, it has a bad score everywhere. That right there is all you need to know. It's all you need to know. It's like, you can brag about player numbers all you want and Game Pass signups all you want. To me, Starfield did what it was supposed to do for the brand. It was the most talked about game that year. It generated the single highest amount of signups for Game Pass up to that point. That to them was probably considered a success for Xbox. They probably considered that a success. But when we looked at the user scores, holy crap. And I would have been right there with you if that would have happened with AC Shadows. If AC Shadows was out here bragging about 3 million players and it had like a 60% on Steam and a 70% on PlayStation, I'd be like, I don't think this game's doing as well as they're trying to tell us. I'm the first in line to criticize a company who's selling me a bill of goods. I'm the first in line to be like, this is bull. This is bull what you're saying. I know this isn't true. I see literally no signs of that with AC Shadows. Everything lines up. It can't be some grand conspiracy. They're like, well, I'll tell you what we got to do. We got to figure out how to get a bunch of fake scores on Steam and a bunch of fake scores on PlayStation and a bunch of fake scores on Xbox. And we got to figure out how to cook the books and make it look like the game has sold well and has done well and has performed well with respect to day one revenue. We better do all that because we put a black guy in the game. Or maybe, just maybe, the grifters were wrong and the game has done well. And it's achieved its goals and its aims. And it has nothing to do with the public depressed standing of Ubisoft in their current financial state. The idea that this is somehow some grand conspiracy and that the game's actually not doing well and that Assassin's Creed's paying for likes on Twitter. I tell you what I believe. I believe that gamers who just want to play games and they're tired of all this invasive political culture war crap, I think there's way more gamers that just want to play games, and I think the people that are obsessing over woke this, woke that, you're the minority. You're the minority. I think that is just been seen in such a grand way in the last week. There's a reason that Fighting Cowboys clip went viral. There's a reason that Assassin's Creed's Twitter account just bodied Elon and Grums into oblivion. There's a reason, because people are freaking tired of it. They don't want to fight. They don't want to get into the spats on Twitter, because then you just have all these people coming at you and acting weird and targeting you. There is a silent majority right now that is basically saying, we're sick of this crap. We play games to escape. And the grand irony is, this is the grand irony. The people that are like, we don't want all this crap in games, we don't want all this politics and preaching in games, you're actually doing the very thing that you claim you're fighting against. Gamers just want a game. And you can literally play Assassin's Creed Shadows and not deal with any of this crap. You can play it on canon mode. There's no romance. The way they handle Yasuke is actually pretty cool. It's not preachy. It's not woke. It's not cringy. Believe me, I played Dragon Age Veilguard, and there was some cringy, secondhand embarrassment crap in that game. And this game's not doing that. And the gaming community is basically saying, listen, man, this is a good game. This is a fun game. I just want to play and have fun. And I play video games to escape from all this nonsense. I play video games to escape the polarization and the culture war and the politics. And you guys keep bringing it up. You guys keep bringing it up. You keep bringing this to the doorstep and to the public. And nobody thinks that this is as big of an issue as you're making it. Is it a black guy or the fact that it feels forced? I think it was a Japanese man or just a girl that had been fine. It doesn't feel forced. That's projection. That's projection. I don't know. Fighting Cowboy was just as bad. He got a lot of stuff wrong. What do you mean he got a lot of stuff wrong? What are you talking about? He just got emotional and spewed hate? Listen, as someone who communicates in a way where I do my absolute best to avoid just going on like a swear-riddled tirade, I certainly, as a communicator, think you make your point a whole lot stronger by staying in sort of an intellectual, logical, reasonable way instead of just flying off and being like, F you, you effing F. Like, I don't... Listen, what he did was an emotional thing. He let the steam valve open and, buddy, it all came out. It was a moment. It was a human moment. And the reason that it resonated with people and the reason that it went viral is because everybody else went, yes, let the steam valve off. Just shut the frick up about this. We're sick of hearing about this. We just want to play games. That's what everybody did. That's what everybody did. It was like a group therapy session. Everyone was like, thank you. We're sick of this. It's annoying. And we talk around it. And we won't mention people's names on Twitter because we don't want to get targeted. That's why he did that. It was a moment. It was just a human moment. That's all he did. And the reason it resonated with people is because people are sick of it. They're like, you say it feels forced. No, what feels forced is constantly having to talk about it. That's what feels forced. A historical figure named Yasuke, who has showed up in other fictional works about samurai and about this time period, Yasuke has shown up plenty of times. All of a sudden it's a problem. Why? The people making it a problem don't have a great track record of being honest. They don't have a great track record of having integrity and framing things honestly. These are people who lie. These are people who claim they have emails and oh yeah, they race swapped South of Midnight. Oh, they gender swapped Ghosts of Yote. That's who you're trusting. That's who you're trusting to lead your movement. That's who you're trusting to give you the goods on this. You want to talk about feeling forced? Yeah, Yasuke was in Neo too. Nobody complained there. He's shown up in animated pieces of fiction as well. Nobody complained there. He's been in other things. I think internally, this is what I think they said. I think they said, listen, we've got to go a different route. We've got to go a different route. Ghost of Tsushima It's going to get compared to our game. What's a way that we can make our game very different and very juxtaposed against just being another samurai game? Right? You got Ronin, you got the Neo game, you got Ghost of Tsushima, you got games where samurai show up, and it's like, well, what's a way we could make it stand out? Like, well, this is a pretty iconic figure that we could throw in our game. And what's funny is, this is what's so funny. I hope you guys like my video about this tomorrow. I really do. What's funny is, it's so stinking similar to The Last Samurai. The storyline, it's so similar. You got Nobunaga, you got Katsumoto. You got Tom Cruise's character, and you got Yasuke. You have warriors who take an interest in somebody who's not from their culture and doesn't look like them, and they're like, this person can be an amazing warrior. I am very intrigued by this person. It's so similar. It's so similar. And it's like, if you can watch The Last Samurai and be like, yo, this is kind of dope, watching Tom Cruise get pulled in to the samurai culture and have conversations with Katsumoto, this is pretty dope, then why can't that be a dope story for someone like Yasuke, who actually existed and actually hung out with a historical samurai? Like, what? What's the problem? I don't get it. Tom Cruise's character is not based off a real person. Why does that matter? Logically outline why that matters. You're like, oh, he wasn't a historical person. Oh, okay. Hang on. So if they would have named him something different, I guess people would have been okay with it. I was checking reviews on a game that just came out, Inaya. How you know they weren't basing it off Yasuke? Well, I just looked it up. Katsumoto is actually not a real person, but he's based on Saigo Takamori, a real samurai who led the Satsuma Rebellion. So Katsumoto is based off of a real person and a real rebellion that was mounted by samurai. Yeah, like, listen, the idea that like nobody would have complained, it's disrespectful to history and lore. How is it disrespectful to history and lore? How? So it was disrespectful to history and lore when Leonardo da Vinci is making gadgets that are helping you murder people and climb buildings? Was that disrespectful to history and lore? Was it disrespectful to history and lore when the Pope was a wizard? Was it disrespectful to history and lore when they made George Washington a king? You're basically, according to your logic, every single Assassin's Creed is disrespectful to the history and the lore. You like, what? Let me guess. You suddenly really care about Yasuke and you think that he should be accurately represented? Like, why does that matter? I don't understand. You think it was the pandering. So how is it pandering? Every game panders. Every piece of fiction panders to a certain degree. They approach those stories different? No, they didn't. They didn't approach those stories different. we know way more about Da Vinci than we know about Yasuke. And they took pretty significant liberties with Leonardo da Vinci. Probably one of the most famous artists and inventors in history. And we know a lot about him. And they have him making gadgets for an assassin. And you're like, oh, well, that's different. Huh? We know so little about Yasuke, so who cares if they take fictional liberties with him? It's okay to take fictional liberties where we know pretty much everything there is to know about, like, what Da Vinci did, wrote, and created. I don't understand. How do they go too far? What do they do? Like, a guy who was hanging out with a samurai, in this story, they create the idea that he would have trained him as a samurai and seen him as somebody worthy of being given that honor because he was strong and he was large. Like, to me, it's like that's too far. That's too much of a liberty. Hey, yeah, this guy that was hanging out with the samurai, we created a story where we entertain the ideas like, what if the samurai would have trained him? You think that's disrespectful, but like it's okay to have a world-famous historical inventor making gadgets for an assassin? You think like, no, that's totally fine. The Pope, someone who is considered by over 1 billion people worldwide to be like next to God himself in holiness and sacredness, and they turn the Pope into a wizard that you fist fight? Like, how is that not disrespectful? I'm going to dump the chat GPT results in Discord. It's very long, too didn't read. Game success is incorporated into share price before hard data is given for Ubisoft on the last 4 AC games. So the fact that the share value hasn't gone up or down, to me, would mean we don't have enough data to come to a conclusion. We would then have to wait. If there is a pattern of, prior to hard data, share value being affected by the commercial success of an AC game, the lack of movement on share value tells me we can't come to a conclusion. We need more information. That's called buying the rumor and selling news. Yeah, like, having the Pope be a wizard goes against the actual, like, Catholic belief system. So if that's not a problem, I don't see how it's a problem to be like, hey, this guy that hang out with samurai, I mean, they made him a samurai. And a 5-spot from Siryu. I'm sure these guys will also find Jack Reacher killing indiscriminately disrespectful to veterans. And that puts us 3 away. We need 3 more members. If somebody wants to bump the line. Oh, wait, no. No, I owe you guys 20. I haven't done it yet. You guys hit the 4. I'm sorry. You hit the 325. We're 3 away from somebody who could do the 20 bomb leapfrog. Thank you for the... Viewers are discussing whether the recently released Assassin's Creed Mirage is historically accurate. No, we're talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Chat AI summary. They put significant effort into ensuring an immersive and respectful representation of feudal Japan. Argue where they haven't done that. Because Yasuke was in the region at that time, so him being there at that time is not a misrepresentation of feudal Japan at that time. And Siryu, with 5 gifted members, gets us to 332. He's trying to bait that 20 bomb to 350. Thank you so much. They do have a point. Genuinely, they go too far and claim that everything with a woman or a black character is woke, and that's why they are losing people like me. Generally speaking, stuff like that is based on a nugget of truth. I think all lies and grifts are based on a nugget of truth. God forbid a fictional story is told in historically accurate setting and time period. We went and we looked at the interview where they said they wanted to be authentic, and they were specifically speaking to like building design and setting. And that has always been how Assassin's Creed is framed, like historical tourism. You're going to go to Baghdad, you're going to go to Egypt, you're going to go to wherever, you're going to go to London, and you're going to experience that area and buildings and the clothing people are wearing. It's going to be accurate to that time period. And then they tell a work of fiction, like, I don't know, Leonardo da Vinci wasn't making gadgets for assassins, but the buildings and the clothing and the design is authentic, so that when you're there, you're experiencing something that's accurate to the time. Now, if you want to get critical about the cherry blossoms, and you want to get critical about the food sold in the market, man, I'm not combing over games that fine-tooth. I'm just not. Like, ooh, yeah, they made a little mistake here. It wouldn't be as big of a deal if the English voice acting wasn't so god-awful. I think the English voice acting actually really has hurt the game. I think a lot of the people that played it and said that the story was weak, I think a lot of them played with the English voice actors. I think they did. Was it disrespectful to the history and the lore when Bayek went into Tutankhamun's tomb and proceeded to give his spirit the two-piece from Popeyes? Kage says, it's funny, like I've never seen the discussion of people just thinking two Japanese protagonists would have been better given any acknowledgement. It's always leapfrogged to the racism angle. Because you can't establish it as a negative. You cannot establish it as a negative without saying that you would prefer to not play as a black guy, you would prefer to play as a Japanese guy. Well, why is that a negative? You haven't established that. You haven't. Did anybody establish that with Neo when the guy was white? Did anybody do that? Well, yeah, this would be better if I could play as a Japanese guy. Did anybody do that? We have so many games with Japanese characters in Japan. Right, like, I thought this was creative. They create this very sharp juxtaposition of you have a shinobi and you have a samurai. You have a ninja and you have, like, the brute warrior. And a great way of telling that story is the ninja is smaller in frame, weaker, right? It's a woman. Oh, wow. Be careful. That's not very progressive, is it, right? Actually showing that, you know, she might be weaker and more frail in her frame and not be as strong. So then you got this guy over here. Not only is he bigger and stronger, he looks different. He's a historical figure from that time. There's nothing about that triggers in my brain like, oh, this is forced. This is just forced diversity. This is stupid. This is canned. It would have been so much better to play as a Japanese man. Like, what the frick? Like, you haven't established it as a negative. Like, why is it a negative? That you have to start there. Neo isn't this series. The other modern ACs use two protagonists from the area. The Templar and the Assassins were all in these cultures. It could be ninjas, assassin, and samurai Templar. Okay, so the problem with that argumentation is you're like, this is how they've always done it. This is how they always have to do it. And if you followed that logic, then you never would have received Assassin's Creed Origins. You never would have received Assassin's Creed Origins, Kage, because they would have said, well, we've always done it this way. We can't change the format of the game. We can't change the style of the game. And that's what's so funny. Yasuke is from the area. He's from the area. Historically speaking, he's from the time. He's from the place. That's what's so weird. You want to make it about what he looks like. It's like, but he's from the area. It's not like we had this history of him being like, oh no, he was always over there. He was always over there in that region of the world. No, he's not. So he was Nobunaga's retainer, but he wasn't in the area? I don't understand. We're not talking about whether or not he was a samurai. That's a waste of time. He was from that area. He's African. So okay. So if we make a movie about the early elements of American settling of the country, would you say, well, those people shouldn't be in it because they're from Britain? No, you would say, oh yeah, they would have been in America at that time. They came over on the Mayflower. He was in the area at that time. It would be historically accurate to have him being in the place and interacting with Nobunaga. They decided to put Nobunaga in the game. And a historical person that was in the service of Nobunaga is Yasuke. Ergo, he can be in the region at the time and a part of the game. I wouldn't say he's from there. Who gives a frick where he's from? Did you do that with all the other Assassin's Creeds? Were you like, well, hang on, the dialect of the main character and skin tone and background, yeah, he wasn't actually from there. Like, were the main characters in Syndicate from London? Did they grow up there? Were they born there? Did you look into that? Did you make sure that the main character in Origins was Bayek actually from Egypt? Like, was he born there? Do we take this level of care with all the other Assassin's Creed games? Well, dadgummit, I'm not going to play a game if the lead character is not from there, even though historically he'd be in the region and in the service of Nobunaga. No, that doesn't matter. What? Hey, hang on. I thought we cared about historical accuracy. I mean, he was in the region, in the service of a famous samurai. Right? Yeah, is the lead character in Black Flag, is he from the region the game takes place in? Do you know any of this? Maybe he should look up the Shang Dynasty and learn what they look like. I'm not sure what you're saying, King Deuce. You said he was from Japan? I think the colloquialism of being from somewhere is pretty liquid. Like, I'm from Ohio, but I've lived longer in Kentucky. So if I take a trip and someone's like, where are you from? And I'd be like, I'm from Kentucky. No, you're not. You were born in Ohio. You're from Ohio. Well, no, I've lived in Kentucky for 23 years. So if Yasuke, immigrates and ends up in the service of Nobunaga and he's in that region, you can be like, well, yeah, he's from that region. He lived there. He became a warrior there. He fought there. He was a retainer there. Whatever. I would see where I was raised. What? I think you could say, if that's the argument, then we're having an exercise in a complete waste of time. He lived there, but he's not from there. Okay. Did the expression on my face change? Because I hope to communicate to you that I don't care. I really hope I showed no signs of caring about that. Because I don't. That's a nitpick of a nitpick. Oh my gosh. That's like saying the lint fell from the pocket in the game and the wind blew it in the wrong direction. That's not a good game now. Like, holy crap. Be accurate in your speech. Frick you. Silent Spartan. Why don't you be your name and be silent? You should be accurate in your speech. Are you freaking kidding me? I can say he's from there. I can say what I want. I don't live my life according to your dictionary. I can say whatever the frick I want. He was from the area. If he lived there and he prospered there and he fought there and he served there, you can be like, yeah, he's from there. You want to do this with every single person? It's basic English? It's called a colloquialism. Why don't you learn basic English? Like, basic English allows for somebody to claim they're from somewhere and not necessarily be talking about their country of origin. You could ask somebody, where are you from? They could be like, well, my family moved here from Korea and I was 1, but I've grown up my entire life in Texas. So hopefully they don't make the mistake of saying that they grew up and that they're from Texas. Oh, yeah, I'm from Texas. No, you're not. He came to Japan as an adult? So what? So what? I can say he's from there. I don't think it's inaccurate to say he's from there. If you live your adult life in Texas and you build a home and a family and you're in your 70s and you're getting ready to pass on and you're like, man, I'm just so proud to be from Texas, and people are like, well, nuh-uh, you were raised in Ohio and you moved to Texas when you were 20. Man, shut the frick up. Nobody talks like that. You want to straighten your glasses at me and tell me to be precise in my language? Get the frick out of here. What a waste of energy this has been. Jiminy Christmas. Yeah, where are you really from? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm from Texas. I'm from Kentucky. I'm from wherever you consider home. Stop engaging with the trolls. I mean, I wouldn't call a gold badge person a troll. I just think the argumentation is stupid and pedantic. Broken Lobo's like, I told you to disengage. It's odd what they harp on. Yeah, like can you just wear that then? That you're like, well, he shouldn't be in the game because he's not from that region. Okay. He's not from the region. Oh, okay. Well done. You win the accidental self-report award, I guess. So then the game should have only been filled with people that are from the area, right? I didn't say that. Devs should make the game that they want. Well, if it's a problem, let's just take it to its logical end then. A game in feudal Japan should only have Japanese people in it, right? I mean, that's what you're saying. He's not from there, so he shouldn't have been there. And I was going to go where Zubair went. I mean, I can't play Ghost of Tsushima. All those Mongols, they're not from Tsushima. Why are they in the game? It'll prevent a lot of nonsense. I say that as a black man. Yeah, but it's not about preventing nonsense. It's about this has never been an issue in other games. It hasn't been. People are making it an issue now. Who gives a frick? Let them make an issue out of that. Who cares? I think it's kind of awesome that they did it. People got pissed. People screamed and yelled about it, and the game did fine anyway. I actually think that's kind of awesome. I do. I think that's kind of awesome. Like, yeah, do it. They came out and they did it. And they did what they wanted to do with their game. Like, imagine saying that, though, being like, well, the game takes place in feudal Japan, so it should only have Japanese persons in it. Oh my gosh, like, are you hearing what you're saying? That sounds terrible. That sounds terrible. That's not how you make a game. That's how you, what you going to do that with Tsushima and be like, well, yeah, you can't have anybody in Tsushima that's not from Tsushima. Like, think about it like this. In Ghost of Yotei, she seems to be traveling to a new area. What if she goes somewhere and she's not from there? Is that a problem? Is that going to be an issue? Like, this story is, we know that Yasuke ends up with Nobunaga and ends up in his service. And this story entertains the idea of how that would have happened. How he would have come to the feudal Japan region and ends up in the service of Nobunaga. It entertains that story and that idea. We know that that's something that happened. And being like, well, but he's not from there. I don't understand. That's literally the story they're telling. Did you like that would be like watching the trailer for The Last Samurai and being like, well, that's awfully stupid. A white man is a samurai. He's not from there. It's like, it's literally telling you the story of how that happened. It's telling you the story of an imagined idea of what would happen if a white man ended up in the service of the samurai. Like, what would that be like? You're literally taking the tenets of the story and acting like, well, that's the problem. It's like, but that's the story they're telling. Based off of Ghost of Tsushima, we're assuming Ghost of Yotei will just be as historically accurate, yet people are still calling it woke because you play a woman despite her being Japanese. If historical accuracy was a thing truly bothering these grifters, then why would Yotei be receiving similar criticism? That's exactly right. I think people just want something to be angry at because they perceive something as woke when it's not. So regardless of the facts, they'll just be angry because they want to be. The Last Samurai isn't about a white guy becoming a samurai. It's about a man witnessing the end of the samurai. I'm going to get a nosebleed. I'm going to get a nosebleed. We're slicing up some very fine hairs here. Doesn't he die as a samurai? No, Tom Cruise's character does not die. He trains with and is given samurai armor, and he's the only one that survives. And then he wants to know how Katsumoto dies, and he said, I'm going to tell you how he lived, right? So the title of the movie is kind of a double entendre. It could be referring to Tom Cruise's character because he's basically the last samurai. He's the last guy to survive. He's got the armor. He brings the sword of Katsumoto to the king. Or you could consider that Katsumoto is the last samurai and that he dies a samurai's death because he wants to die in an honorable way. So like it's a double entendre. The entirety of the movie, though, is comprised by Tom Cruise training with, living with, and becoming a samurai. Like that's the entirety of the movie right there. And then the fights at the very end. Katsumoto's the last samurai? Right, but who did they put on the cover of everything? Tom Cruise is on everything. Every movie poster you see for The Last Samurai, it's Tom Cruise. The movie is about Tom Cruise. It's about him. He's the main character. He's the lead bill. He's the lead face. He's the main character. It's about him. Katsumoto, sadly, is not in it enough. I think he should be in it more than he is. The star that's going to draw the movies? Right, but that's the point, though. Like, if we have to explain what a main character is, I'm quitting this planet. Hang on. If you read the plot summary of The Last Samurai, it all centers around him, Nathan Algren. In 1876, former U.S. Army Captain Nathan Algren. Next paragraph. Algren learns that the Imperial soldiers are nearby. Algren's taken to Katsumoto. Ninjas infiltrate. Algren saves Katsumoto's life and then helps defend the village. As the Imperial Army marches, a grieving Katsumoto contemplates seppuku, but Algren convinces him to fight and pledges to join the samurai in battle. On the battlefield, Algren and Katsumoto meet with Omura. Later, at the trade negotiations conclude, Algren interrupts the proceedings. The movie's about Algren. The movie's about Tom Cruise's character. He starts the movie. He's the catalyst for change. He's the catalyst for victory. He is the character who goes through the biggest transformation. He goes from a train wreck, death wish alcoholic to an honorable, disciplined man who gets to wear samurai armor and ride into battle with the samurai. And he actually helps them do a pretty good job in the battle. And then, oh yes, he's actually alive at the end. The movie's about him. He's the main character. Now, you could say, well, Katsumoto's the last samurai, but you could also say that it's meant to be, like I said, like a double entendre, because, like, he is the last living person that was with the samurai, trained with them, wore samurai armor in a battle. I agree it can be looked at both ways. Yeah, I think it's meant to be seen in both ways. The point is, one of the main reasons that The Last Samurai is interesting as a story is not because if they just wanted to tell the story of the last living samurai who fought against their own people because their own people saw them as no longer needed, they were from an older time period, that would be a great story. But the catalyst, the entire catalyst of what makes that story interesting is seeing Tom Cruise interact with Katsumoto as well as the other samurai and training, and even the woman who happens to be the wife of the man he killed in battle. Like, all of those plot points, and the largest character arc of transformation is Tom Cruise's character. And that's what makes it such a great story. And to act like, well, we can't have almost the exact same story. It's very analogous. Yasuke's story is very analogous to The Last Samurai. It's very similar. And it's a problem. Why? Well, because he's not from there. Oh, well, I guess then that makes The Last Samurai a problem too, because Tom Cruise's character is from the United States. He's a U.S. soldier. Cool Spoon says, it's only more important to the company, but as players, we want to see how many other people are playing. That's usually a decent indicator of quality. Huh? Tom Cruise being white is irrelevant to me. I think a common theme in movies and good storytelling is something called culture shock, where you take somebody who is not from a place and they go to a place that is completely different than them. You could see this in The Lord of the Rings. The hobbits interact with the elves, and the elves give them lambus, and the lambus bread is meant to be eaten in like small bites, and they eat it like a bunch of it, right? That's a culture clash. That's culture shock. It makes for funny moments. It makes for interesting storytelling. That's one of the reasons why these attempts at like modern storytelling, fish out of water. Right. These modern attempts at storytelling where they want like every single town to be super, super diverse is kind of stupid. Like, one of the things I think that like really, really helps a story look good is when you go to a town or a city and everybody looks a particular way and dresses a particular way, and the people that show up don't look like that. So everybody kind of record scratches, everybody turns and looks at the newcomers and like, who the frick is that? And they do that with Yasuke. Yasuke walks in and everybody's taking notice of him. He's taller, his skin is darker, he's bigger, he's broad-shouldered, he's like a giant, right? Compared to people in that region are of smaller frame, fairer skin, right? It's to me, that's immediately interesting, like instantly. It's an instantly interesting story to me, because it's a very, very common storytelling trope to have somebody outside of their culture. When people say Neo wasn't trying to be accurate, but no one challenged this. William Adams, better known in Japan as this, he became the first Englishman to reach Japan. He was later granted samurai status and was recognized as one of the most influential foreigners in Japan. We researched the title samurai too, and didn't it eventually become a less rigid word, and it just sort of meant warrior? I thought that over time it became like a more it became more generic. Like there were even women that were granted the title because they were just warriors that fought. during the time there was some pushback that Tom Cruise was the last samurai. They obviously hadn't seen the movie. They thought it was like when Emma Stone was cast as a Hawaiian Asian. Right, we don't need to debate that. I think it's sort of left generic. It is about the last of the samurai. That's like the generic meaning, but it could also just be referring just to Katsumoto, but all of his guys died. They were also the last samurai, right? It could also be, this is the last guy to make it out. He trained with them. He can tell you about them. He can tell you their story. It became like lighting. I'm sorry, like knighting. I've not had a chance to watch Shogun yet, no. It's similar situation, fish out of water. The guy can't speak Japanese and he's pretty much stranded there. I just have not yet been able to figure out where the problem is, and people are like, he's not from there. Okay, that's not a very compelling argument. It would have been better to just play as two Japanese persons. That sounds like a preference, not a criticism. That just sounds like, oh, I think it'd be more authentic or whatever. Oh, okay. That's like me playing a game in Japanese. I think it feels more authentic, but I'm not going to say that you should or that it would be better, right? Or it's wrong to play in English or something like that. You know, like, right? Like, that's, to me, experientially, it makes it feel more authentic. I think it feels authentic because I'm like, homie was in the region. He was hanging out with a famous samurai. This is a cool story. This would have been cool if this happened. Do we know if it happened? Who cares? It's a cool story. It's like we know approximately where and when Leonardo da Vinci lived and what he did. It's cool to think about, like, yeah, what if he was making inventions for a samurai? I'm sorry, not samurai, for an assassin. That'd be pretty cool, right? Zubair says, I have no problem with people saying I prefer not to play this, but don't show up with your dumb takes about how it isn't accurate or true or broke promises. That's what I get frustrated by. It's like, don't rip their comments about authenticity out of context. I think that's ridiculous. Don't talk about how it's not accurate, because none of the games have been accurate in this regard. They haven't been. Like, yeah, I think that's so well stated. It's not about broken promises or not being authentic or not being historically accurate. It's like, just say that you don't want to play as that you don't want to play as a character like that. That's your preference. Your problems with Shadows 100% on the gameplay design wise. Well, I'd rather have that conversation than the one that we've had to continually have. But I'm hoping my video tomorrow can kind of be my definitive statement on it, and then we can, move on. Which, speaking of moving on, in 10 minutes we do need to go to the green room. I'm not gonna let you guys extend today. Well, you'd have to go crazy. If you guys go crazy, I will let you extend if we get to 400. But typically I would be like, oh, extend by getting the 350. If you guys go crazy and get us 400, I will extend. But Thursdays I have a bit of a shorter time frame in the afternoon, so I don't like extending on Thursdays in particular. Jez Corden is entertaining the discussion about would Sony block PlayStation PC games on a future Windows-based Xbox running Steam in the Epic Store. Let's discuss. A debate's been raging on social media about whether Sony will or even can block PlayStation games. Okay, so let's see what Jez thinks. I'm kind of curious. He thinks they can and that they would, I believe. Okay. It would be an unprecedented move and not something Steam has ever really had to deal with. A per OEM content hardware restriction creates a very large can of worms. It could lead to OEMs buying up exclusive rights to PC games for their systems, at least in theory. It would lead to a weird universe of new DRM features that would probably cause more harm than benefits. And much like De Novo and the like, it's unclear how realistically enforceable something like that would even be. Sony doesn't block its games from running on the Microsoft Surface laptops, and that's essentially what the next Xbox is going to be in essence. Yeah, but optics-wise, it wouldn't be considered a console. It would be a spectacularly petty move, and one that personally I don't foresee Sony pursuing. I don't know if I would classify it as petty. I think people are seeing it as petty. I don't know if I agree with Jez about it being petty. I think it would be more about, like, we need to protect our brand, and our brand of console is over here, and that's a new console with new capabilities, and we don't want to have our brand undercut by that, right? So I don't think it's petty. I think it would be, especially when you're outlining your intentions with your games coming to PC in earnings calls, that's not petty. Like, we have to protect our business aims here. You know what I'm saying? However, I know from conversations with people familiar with Microsoft's plans that it is at least a remote possibility the firm has been seriously considering. NVIDIA GeForce Now has players log into their Steam account on a remote PC, but you cannot access your full Steam account even if the remote PCs are entirely capable of full-fat access to your content. The rights holders force NVIDIA GeForce Now to restrict what games are accessible on remote PCs per title basis. It's not entirely the same scenario, but it's an example of license holders dictating how the games are accessed via Steam. It's like I said, there's no precedent for this that I could find, but there's also no precedent for what Microsoft is doing with the next Xbox. I think that's well stated by Jez. A Windows-capable, living room-friendly, subsidized, affordable gaming PC with an Xbox controller-first shell could be the most compelling video game console in years. So far, only Valve's Steam Deck hooked up to a TV via Steam Deck dock offers something truly comparable, albeit with performance drawbacks. Xbox could achieve something truly special if indeed these rumored plans go ahead, and while I think it's very unlikely, it is not impossible to think that there may be some unexpected shenanigans from license holders and platforms when it all comes to pass. The article's linked in the Discord. Guys, make sure and check out that article. Give Jez some clicks. I think that's well written. I only read the very, very final part. You can read the earlier parts if you want to read the entire thing. You can obviously follow him on Twitter as well, where he linked it. I just continue to think that it's an unprecedented move by Xbox, which would not be something that PlayStation would just ignore. I mean, I could be wrong, but Ubisoft is forming a new subsidiary company in partnership with Tencent. The subsidiary is valued at $4.3 billion and includes IPs like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. Tencent is investing a 25% stake in the company. Well, there you go. Ubisoft CEO shares his enthusiasm about this development, stating, "Today, Ubisoft is opening a new chapter in its history. This is a foundational step in changing Ubisoft's operating model and will enable us to be both agile and ambitious. The new subsidiary will not only include the teams working on the mentioned titles, but will also manage the back catalog and any forthcoming games." This is probably the best case scenario. Ubi's jumping. Their share value's jumping. Yeah, this is probably the best case scenario. It will hopefully keep the teams running and the IP in the market. I did not want to see them busted up, divestitured, IP sold. That was going to be destructive. This is actually probably, I would say this, my armchair understanding of this is probably good news. This is the best news that we could have got, because it should keep things going and in the market and not risk, seeing the IP sold off and the studios closed down and talent loss. It's splitting the company. If it's protecting IP like AC, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six, it's probably best case scenario. Right? It should be the least disruptive, hopefully. In 5 minutes, we're going to go to the green room. It's a really, really great reason to maintain a Member Plus membership here for $6 a month. Your day doesn't end when we go to the green room. You guys that are not on the paid memberships, you don't get the full breadth of content when that happens. The day ends for you in about 5 minutes. If you click join or go to the upgrade tab, you can bump yourself up to Member Plus. This is like the Katakawa Sony deal. It's a good outcome. If they would have been bought, there would have been major job losses. Yeah, this feels like an influx of cash an operation change that will hopefully then keep things running and not run the risk of what I was scared of, which was you're going to have massive talent loss and studios getting shut down. Okay. My theory is that when Xbox entered that deal, 10-year deal with Boosteroid, they had to figure out their API to put their games on there. They found out the loophole. You're going to see job cuts. Oh, I mean, you'll probably still see job cuts. I didn't mean to indicate that there won't be any. Probably a lot less, though. Right? Probably a lot less. If they would have gone through an actual buyout, it would have been a lot bigger. Because taking on the operating costs of 19,000 employees, I mean, the average company would be like, they would have let go a third of those people, maybe a fourth. That was the primary concern. It really, really was. One important thing just happened. Ubisoft and Tencent have come to an agreement that will basically, it's going to be an investment from Tencent. It's going to contain IPs. It's basically going to be a new subsidiary within the company, and it's going to contain IPs like AC, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. So, I find this to be welcome news. It's what I said a couple of days. It's what I've been saying all week. That like best case scenario is they come to an agreement with Tencent that protects the property and the studios as best as possible. And we're going to go to Green Room in just a few minutes. This will probably end up being part of the coverage tomorrow, obviously, because we've been kind of covering it all this week. I mean, obviously, this was a Nintendo Direct stream that went completely in another direction, but that's okay. We just hung out and had a conversation. That's kind of what we do here. So, make sure and smash the like button. And I'm going to spam a link in chat. We're going to head to a segment called The Green Room. Again, this is your opportunity to stay with us and not have your day end. I'll create a little loop there. Go. I'll spam a link in chat in just a second. No, Tencent did not buy Ubisoft. They did an investment of about... one something billion. They're creating a subsidiary. It seems to be they're doing it to protect the IP. They're doing it to protect the IP. They want Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six Siege to not be in jeopardy, is what it seems like. So, what game are you playing, Lido? All right, there's the link in chat to the Green Room. If you want to come with us, click join and pick Member Plus. Thanks so much for being a member of the channel. You guys support the channel directly. You know the deal. You know the spiel. I say this every day. Like this stream, what I do for a living is made possible by you. So thank you so much. We've got some big opportunities, some big announcements and cool things happening this year. And those things happen because you guys kept us going and kept things rocking and rolling with support and positivity. So I'm going to end the previous stream and bring folks over with redirect. And I'm not going to change the thumbnail because